Hi guys, what is up? My name is Simone.
I'm Nafis.
And I'm Macy.
And welcome back to I Was Thinking. I feel like I could have done that a little bit better, but I just kept talking. It's fine. Yes. Yeah, how is it going, guys? Just real quick. We have a lot to talk about today.
So far, so good.
Yep.
That's good. It's good. So yes, as you can tell by the title, we are doing another review, a TV show review, and we are doing The Glory, which is a K-drama. I think I should go ahead and just put trigger warnings now at the very, very front of this episode. This episode is probably going to be the second heaviest episode we've done. Maybe not as heavy as the one. But still, it's heavy topics. So just trigger warning on bullying, harm to people, harm to self, suicide attempts, maybe some sexual assault, harm to minors.
Definitely.
Talking about death. Anything else I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Just trigger warning for everything, basically.
Yeah.
Abuse around all edges.
Yes, abuse, lots of abuse. And then before we actually get into the show, Nafis and Macy already know this. I just wanted to bring this up real quick. I'm doing a lot better, but just because in the very last episode, I said that we were in like the process basically of like whether we should put my dog down or not. So we did end up putting Bella down almost about a week ago now. Yeah, grief is weird, guys. We all process it differently. So especially if you've had pets before, you know, they become part of the family. Yeah. I'm doing better though. It's really weird with all the extra time. Sometimes I look around and I still think she's here, or like I'm expected to see her somewhere and she's not. But I know we did it at a good time. When me and my dad go back and talk, we just realized she wasn't there. So, and we just took the quality of her life in consideration. So that's why we did it. I think it was just devastating that day because we were talking about it. We were like, okay, maybe we'll call them and see if they can get us in within that week. And my dad calls, they're like, we can get you in at 1:00. And we're like, oh God. And as soon as he called me, that was like 11. I was crying that whole day. So, yeah. But of course, you know, they try to make the process go as smoothly as possible. And I had to be the adult. Like I had to tell the vet tech everything because my dad was, you know, very quiet, too busy holding her and everything. So not to put him on blast, but that was like his ride or die, like he liked to say, because he works from home. So it was like she was with him all day, every day. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I think you can find comfort in like you said, making that the best decision for her. Because I work with animals every single day and I see a lot of pets that are just so miserable and it's heartbreaking. So it's like when you have pet parents that like know when it's that time, it's, you know, it's good that you don't make them suffer, even if it's really hard for us.
Yeah. I never want anyone to suffer.
Because I went through that with Lucy because she had cancer and we just had to make that decision, you know? So it wasn't like I should just die of old age kind of thing.
Yeah. So, but then we did also pay to get her ashes back. So I will get her back in a cute little box. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give an update on that. I did talk about it in the first episode of this year. So to move on. I'm sorry. Y'all know how I get when I'm like, I do a podcast and I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. But onward to The Glory, how we feel about The Glory before we get into it, guys. I don't remember if I heard the buzz before I started watching it. I just remember, you know, like Netflix when they suggest you something. I think I just saw it on there and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. A new K-drama.
I saw it in the top 10, but I definitely watched it before it became like this huge like phenomenon, like in the US and in Korea, which I'm grateful I watched it before that because I probably would not have watched it once it became so popular, just because like there's like clips and things like that out there. But yeah.
Yeah, I had seen a TikTok about it that caught my interest like immediately, and I went on Netflix and like put it on my list of things to watch. And then we talked about it in the Ramble episode, and I literally watched the whole thing that day after we recorded.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good.
I originally was not going to watch it because, like, her past few dramas were not, like, they didn't really interest
You
me.
said that too.
They didn't interest me. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be like the same thing. But then, like, I don't know. I just clicked it because I had like no other show to watch. And I was just like, there are very few things, gore and things like that do not really upset me. But like this show, like, really had me upset, especially that first episode where they show like very detailed scenes. I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But yeah, overall, it's a very enlightening show, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I don't know if it's like personal for you either because you are a teacher, so you are around kids, especially that age. So I'm not sure how it is at your school, especially if you guys have like a huge bullying problem, because bullying is a big problem worldwide, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I was just wondering, from a teacher's perspective, I'm not around kids, so
Well, we don't have like a huge bullying issue, like specifically on campus, but I do teach in the part of town where like gangs are very prominent. And so like we do have like fights and stuff related to that on campus. So I don't really call it bullying, but just more of like conflict, I guess you could say. But either way, it was just like very, I don't know. It made me upset, and that's very rare for me. So
yeah, no, it definitely made me upset too. Cause like, I mean, I don't know if I ever said it on the podcast, but like Nafisa Macy could like, I was just talking about it before we recorded, how I talk about how I'm very iffy and probably like 90% sure I do not want kids and probably will not have kids. But like, just because I don't want kids don't mean I don't like kids. I think there's a difference that a lot of people don't like get when someone says they don't want kids. But I never want to see a child in any type of harm.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're so innocent. They don't really understand, especially at that age, like, I won't say the dangers of the world, especially, like, how her upbringing is, but just, like, what is it they call it in your brain? Their cognitive thinking and, like, rationale is not all the way developed yet.
Yeah.
It's not developed until you're, 25? So mine just developed last year into, like, my decision-making, my beliefs and stuff like that.
And I'm glad you brought up, like, the whole teacher thing, because there's a thing that happened in the show that I want to, touch base on.
Yes, because I swear to God, if I was there, I would risk deportation to be his ass. Yeah. I swear to God. You are not... Ugh. Oh, now my blood is boiling just thinking about it. I know, I would say, I don't care where I am. I would risk getting arrested if that means I'm protecting a child.
Right.
Like, if I ever see a child getting harmed in public, in my view, I will make sure they're okay first. I don't care if you're their parent, their legal guardian. There is no reason for you to be harming a child in any circumstance.
But I do want to say, though, about the character specifically, like, I'm sure you'll go into this, but like, I'm just really glad she turned out the way she did. Because the experiences that she went through, like they showed in the episode, she could have turned out completely like deranged, like completely different. So I'm glad she had like the strong will to overcome most of those things.
I mean, we still got a part 2, so we'll see if she's truly...
From what they've shown us in part 1, I guess.
What they've shown us so far, not really. But if you haven't watched this yet, you can still listen to the first part. I'm not really going to give any spoilers just yet. So what I did, of course, talk about the synapse of the show, the director and the writer, and how the writer thought of the show. And I went in and actually pulled up some facts about bullying, not just in Korea, but just like in America as well, because we live in America. And I'm sure even us don't know all the statistics about like bullying here as well. So yeah, I'll let you guys know when we get into the show itself, so you don't have to worry about spoilers. But again, we really hope and encourage you to have watched the show and then come listen to us, because we're going to spoil everything. But if you don't care about spoilers, then just keep listening. And then as always, we are doing an international show, so we are mostly going off of translations and what we know a little bit about the language. So apologies if we mistranslate anything. And again, disclaimer, I'm gonna be saying a lot of Korean words. I have started taking classes again, and my class just showed me how terrible I am. So I am so sorry if I mispronounce any words, names, or places. I'm trying my best. Okay, so yes, as we keep saying, we are doing the glory, and the Hangul Korean version is literally like the same. It's Glory, basically, like how you would say it in Korean. Even though I have it in Hangul, because I know it's how to say it in English, my brain just wants to say it in English. So, Glory. So the official release date on Netflix, and I believe this is also just on Netflix in Korea too. I don't think this is shown on like one of their cable shows. I'd be really shocked if it was, but I think this is also just a Netflix original here in America and in Korea. But it was released December 30th of last year, 2022. And so far it is 8 episodes. So they did divide it up. So this is only part 1, and a part 2 will be out March 10th of this year. So in a couple of weeks, probably sooner whenever I post this episode. And then I'm sure we will obviously review part 2. I was telling Macy Nafis before you got here, I'm a little scared for part 2 because I know how they do sometimes with like hyping something up and then
Yeah, me too.
especially last episodes. I'm hoping. But anyway, so the synapse that Netflix gives once you click on it is tormented by her high school's classmates and with nowhere to turn for help, Moon Dong-un sinks into despair before deciding on a new mission in life. And I don't feel like that really describes the show. So on Asian Wiki, Netflix's like descriptions sometimes be so bad, in my opinion. But Asian Wiki says a high school student dreamed of one day working as an architect. She became a victim of violence perpetrated by her fellow students. She dropped out of high school because of the bullying. She then planned revenge on her tormentors and also the bystanders who did nothing. That student is now an adult. She has waited for the leader of her tormentors to get married and have a child who is now an elementary school student. The woman who was once a victim of school violence is now the homeroom teacher of her tormentor's child, and her cruel revenge plot begins in earnest. Dun, dun, dun.
That is a much better description.
Right? That actually makes me sound interesting in the show.
Right, Netflix, get your act together.
Listen, Netflix has a lot of things they need to get their acts together.
I feel like they kept it vague on purpose, though.
I mean, vagueness is good on some level, but like if you watch the preview of it, you would learn all of that. Well, most of it anyway.
Yeah.
But I think their description is in complement to like the trailer that they have going on at the same time. So could be.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Not to defend Netflix or anything, but I'm just saying.
I was going to say, because Netflix, I'm a little worried we might not have Netflix soon, but they messing up the bag. Mm-hmm. So the director of The Glory is An Gil-ho. And then I also just wrote down like some other things they directed, which is Rooftop Prince, Mrs. Cop, Stranger, Record of Youth and Happiness. I don't know if any of you have heard of these dramas or movies. I have not, but that's some other things they've directed. Okay. And then the whole creator and writer of the show is Kim Eun-suk. She has written Secret Garden. Her most famous ones is Descendants of the Sun, as well as Guardian, The Lonely and Great God. And the English version of that is also Goblin. I still have not finished Goblin.
Those are two of my favorite dramas. So I was just like, I think it was after I read that, I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. Not disappointed at all.
She also wrote Mr. Sunshine and another Netflix original, The King Eternal Monarch.
Oh,
which I know they do.
That one.
There's a lot of controversy with that one.
Part 1 and 2 or just part 1? I remember part 1, but I hearing part 2 is good.
I don't know. That drama was kind of confusing for me, but it is what it is.
It is a bit confusing, I suppose, but I still liked it.
Have you seen part 2 yet, Macy?
I think so.
I didn't know there was a part 1 or part 2. I thought it was all just one collective.
Right?
No, I think they came out with another season, but they're also calling it part 2.
I don't think I've seen the second season then.
Yeah, then you need...
okay. Then yes, there's a new season if y'all want to go, and maybe part 1 or season 1 will make sense. But anyway, we're not talking about that show right now. So the writer Kim Eun-suk says the story The Glory is very personal to her. She received the idea actually by speaking to her daughter who is in high school. I'm assuming she's in high school right now because the story show just came out. So she's around the age where the main character was probably like getting bullied. And then the idea actually came to her one day when her daughter asked her a question. Would you be more hurt if I beat someone to death or was beaten to death? I wish I had a creative mind like that. From that one sentence makes me think of a whole TV show.
Right.
That is an interesting question, though. What do you guys think about that?
I know. I actually just started thinking about it. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, I don't have the perspective as like a parent, but I've always said that if I had a child and they turned out to be a serial killer, I'm throwing them under the bus. I'm sorry, you can't kill people. That's not okay.
Yeah.
So friends, Macy, you're not going to be like one of those white women who are on the true crimes. Be like, I didn't know my son was like this. He was a good boy. He got all A's.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Like, I raised him right. Obviously something's messed up.
Yeah.
So I guess I would be more upset if you were beaten to death, you know, because like that's horrible.
Yeah. I think that would be my answer.
I wrote this in parentheses, like my own thoughts. I do that a lot when I'm taking notes. I don't know if this was school violence, because I was trying to find out. There's a lot of like articles and the headlines like, is the glory based off a true story? So it's not, like I said, it's based off that question that her daughter asked her. But I guess there actually was like some type of burning incident in South Korea back in 2006. This what makes me think that it wasn't like school violence, because all it said was a perpetrator burnt her victim with I put hair salon. I think I meant to put hair curler. As well as like burns on her chest and scratched her with a bunch of hairpins and stole her money. But they ended up catching the person that did it. So that's why I'm like, I don't think this was school violence if money was stolen. But then again, I'm not actually sure. But then continuing with the writer, she also said when she was doing her research, and she actually did speak to actual victims of school bullying, she was surprised that a lot of them honestly really just wanted a sincere apology. And then there's a quote I wrote from her, says, "It's not about gaining something, but rather getting it back. In moments of violence, you lose things you cannot see, such as dignity, honor, and glory. I thought that you had to get that apology to return to one's starting point. So I made the title The Glory. It's my encouragement to victims like Dong-un, Hyun-nam, and Yo-jong." She elaborated, which are characters that we will meet later when we discuss this more, that are in the show. And then I also got from the article, and of course, everything that I'm saying, guys, I link the articles that you can read yourself in the comments below. But in the one that I got about her talking about her inspiration about writing The Glory, the first sentence that I came across talked about how bullying in South Korea has increased by 25.4% in 1 year.
This is recent?
Yes.
Wow. What about the United States?
So I will be giving some statistics about bullying. First, I will do America, and then I will do Korea. Just to let you guys know, every article that I found, the most recent statistics I can find were from 2019, but I also think that's because of the pandemic. So I think that has to do a lot with why a lot of the recent articles are from 2019. But I mean, I'm sure they're still relevant. And some of it could have increased, some of it could have decreased. I'm not sure. But just to let y'all know, most recent are from 2019. So like I said, I'll start about school bullying in America. So 1 out of every 5, so it says 20.2% students report bullying. A higher percentage of male than female students report being physically bullied, 6% versus 4%, whereas a higher percentage of female than male students report being subjects to rumors, 18% versus 9%. So 18% of women report being subjects to rumors as part of their bullying, as opposed to 9% of males. And then vice versa of the physicals, males 6%, females 4%. And then also being excluded from activities on purpose. So the girls have a higher percent of part of their bullying is being excluded from things than the males.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like girls are way more like psychological with their mistreatment of others.
I don't know if that's worse than physical or not. It's
no,
definitely
that's worse.
More life damaging.
Definitely worse.
Yeah.
Because that involves like planning. It's not like where physical, it's more like in the moment type thing. But like psychological, you're planning what you're doing. So you can't even say, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. It was in the heat of the moment. No, no, no. No, girlfriend, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. Women are scary. You should be afraid of us.
They want to underestimate us so much, but we truly are terrifying.
Right.
So 41% of the students who reported being bullied at school indicate that they think the bullying would happen again. Of those students who reported being bullied, 13% were made fun of, called names, or insulted. 13% were the subject of rumors. 5% were pushed, shoved, tripped, or spit on. If anyone spits on me, I swear to God, that's when I will be murder. And 5% were excluded from activities on purpose. The reason for being bullied most often by students include physical appearance, race, ethnicity, gender, disability, religion, and sexual orientation. And I actually did write down 2 examples recently in real world time to like talk about these. So I know recently, because you guys aren't on Twitter, I think this is somewhere in Philadelphia, there is a group of white girls. I think there's about 5 of them. 3 of them are recording, and we're seeing the video from one girl's point of view. But anyway, I guess they sent this video to a black girl that they're bullying, because one of the girls that they're like shooting of is 2 girls that they're shooting like the video of. One of them's in complete blackface, first of all. And then the one in the red hoodie is basically like spraying them, pretending she's like, I don't know if she's pretending basically to be like the police and do like some type of police brutality thing. When I first watched it, I didn't listen to the audio, and then I clicked on it, and then I heard the girl spray her and say something about get back up, get back to work, you slave. And I immediately clicked it off. I'm like, I'm not doing this for my mental health. Happy Black History Month. Like, no.
Yikes.
So that's one. Still have that to deal with. And I'm sure they were probably throwing around a bunch of other racial slurs, saying the N-word, all of that, especially to the one who was painted pretending to be black. And then another incident with race this happened in the United Kingdom. So I also saw a video of a black girl basically getting jumped because she was fighting this one white girl, and then there was other 4 white girls that were jumping at the other time. So like this was literally being jumped, and I saw that it said their ages range from like 11 to 17. And the crazy thing about that one, they were outside of their school gate, so they were on school property doing this, and there's a whole bunch of white adults, and no one was stopping this. You literally see in the video maybe like 3 or 4 adults just standing around watching this poor girl get beat up. So that made me think of like the homeroom teacher when it comes to like adults are aware of this.
Yeah.
Sometimes witness it and they won't even stop it. So
wasn't there, I swear I've seen it all over my TikTok. There was another instance where like a male teacher was like hitting a male student. Like he followed him down the hallway, and the video, there's like video security camera footage of him like pushing him up against a wall and hitting him. I'm like, I
didn't see
the
that
backstory for that, but I've seen it all over my TikTok.
It's just crazy. It's just, God, this world. But I'm going to continue. So, and then that's one fact about not even just in the US. So that last one I was talking about was in the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. It happens everywhere. It
happens everywhere.
Human nature is awful sometimes.
Yeah. So among students between the ages of 12 and 18 who have reported being bullied at school, 15% were bullied online or by text. I'm sure that has gone up because of technology now. Reports of cyberbullying are at the highest among middle school students, followed by high school students, and then primary, which I think is elementary school students. So first it's middle school, high school, and elementary school, they're saying. Which I definitely believe that middle school students are evil.
Yeah, they're scary.
They are very scary. The percent of individuals who have experienced cyberbullying at some point in their lifetime have been more doubled. So it jumped from 18% to 37% from 2007 to 2019. Again, I'm sure that's because of the advancement of technology. When students were asked about the specific types of cyberbullying they experienced, mean and hateful comments was 25%, rumors spread online was 22%, that was mostly cited, and then the type of cyberbullying differed between the genders. Girls were most likely to say someone spread rumors about them online, while the boys were more likely to say that someone threatened to hurt them. Students with specific learning disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, emotional and behavior disorders, other health impairs, and speech or language impairments report greater rates of victimization than their peers without disabilities. And their victimization remains consistent over time. So like they're the ones sadly who like I feel like continuously get bullied even throughout adulthood. When assessing specific types of disabilities, prevalence rates differ. So 35.3 of students with behavior and emotional disorders, 33.9 of the students with autism, 24.3% of students with intellectual disabilities, 20.8% of students with health impairments, and 19% of students with specific learning disabilities face high levels of bullying victimization. 70.1% of LGBTQ students were verbally bullied, called names, threatened, list goes on, in the past year because of their sexual orientation, and 59.1% because of their gender expression, and 53.2% based on gender. And then my last one is 28.9% of LGBTQ students were physically bullied. Some examples they gave were like pushed or shoved in the past year because of their sexual orientation, and 24.4% because of their gender expression, and 22.8% based on gender. So the LGBTQ community was shocking to me how that was the highest percent.
I think that makes sense to me. Like,
yeah,
just that group as a whole is really misunderstood, and like people suck about like doesn't affect you, you know, but people are all up in their business, and there's a lot of law stuff going on right now with like rights according to that stuff. So I think that's a high subject matter nowadays.
Yeah. So that was all the statistics I gathered for the American system. So now these are the ones that I found for school bullying in Korea. So the number of school bullying cases in Korea has continued to rise since 2013. In 2013, 11,749 cases reported, and now data from 2019 shows that it has more than doubled, with 31,130 cases reported of some type of bullying. And this article that I got it from was happening during like the whole Le Seraphim thing. If you guys are aware of that, when they first debuted, and that one girl who was accused of school bullying. So if you do go and read that article that I linked, they do talk about her. I just didn't take any of the facts of that because that's not what we're talking about. But just to let people know, that's why I think this article was written in the first place. In the last 4 years, 50% of reports were physical violence, but as time continues, cases of verbal violence, detention, coercion, and sexual violence are also on the rise. Verbal violence has increased sharply from 3,208 in 2016 to 8,471 cases in 2018. In addition to coercion has risen. I don't know what coercion is. Does that mean like pressuring them into doing like crimes? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I just wanted
Peer
to make
pressure,
sure.
basically.
Peer pressure. Okay.
Jinx.
From 100 cases in 2018 to 2,202 in 2019. So that was a very big jump in just 1 year.
Yeah.
Between 2016 and 2019, students that were punished for their actions, 73,912 cases. So out of that big number, 29.25% of that apologized in writing. Wow. God. Talking numbers, 50,051 cases were minor. 46,194 cases resulted in special education or psychotherapy treatment, and 37,373 cases in school services for the accused students. As for transfer cases, 7,895 cases and 625 were expelled. Korea's punishment classification for school bullying is divided into 9 categories. So over there, level 1 is being the lightest punishment, which is a written punishment to the victim. I think they meant written apology to the victim, but it says punishment. Anyway, so level 1 is basically just writing a written out apology to the victim. Level 2 is to protect the victim, and level 3 is labor service. Level 4 is community service, is granted to relatively serious bullying cases. And then, like I said, it brings up the girl. Her name was Kim Godam from the La Seraphim. So apparently when they were doing the research on her in the investigation, she was granted level 5, which was special education and psychological therapy or psychological treatment for her actions during school. Level 6 results in a temporary suspension from school. Level 7 is attendance is prohibited. By level 8, a student will be transferred. And finally, level 9, a student is withdrawn from school. So they give you like 9 chances before you're like, I guess, permanently banned from school. However, despite having these punishments in place, many are still not satisfied, especially since the records of all bullying can be deleted 2 years after graduating as a way to preserve the student's reputation. And as a result, the victims are left with pain and trauma of their bullying while the bully gets a fresh start. So none of that actually even matters, because I guess if you do end up graduating, your record gets clean. So in July of 2021, this is an incident of like, trying to figure out the best way to say it. Basically, an international student being bullied. So it says in July of 2021, a Mongolian middle school student in Busan was made to drink alcohol, tied up, and beaten by her classmates. The bullying lasted nearly 6 hours and was filmed, where disparaging comments were made about the student's ethnicity. The student can be shown being drawn on, forced to drink her urine, and fed cigarette butts. When the assault was reported, Koreans and Mongolians, of course, refuting and furious. And then the article says, to add insult to injury, the perpetrators were only punished with social service and a level 4 classification.
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's like, that's almost beyond bullying. That's just straight up assault.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I've experienced a little bit of bullying, mainly in middle school, and it was all just insults, and like you'd see a kid get pushed in a locker, or like a physical fight would break out, but like holding someone down and making them drink their own urine and like beating them to that point, like that's jail time assault, people. That's not bullying.
So I didn't get to write any notes. I still have like 2 more bulletin points. Before I say them though, I didn't get to write any of the facts because my notes are already long enough, but I did post like an article about like the history of bullying in Korea. If anyone's interested in reading it, it is pretty long. It's about like 300 pages, but I've been slowly reading it, and it is very interesting to learn how we got to this type of level. But let me just finish my notes real quick.
The juvenile system is a bit harsher in general.
Yeah, because like depending on the type of crime, you know, they can get tried as adults. So
yeah.
But anyway, in addition to school bullying cases, reports of cases in the workplace, sports, and also the military are on the rise. Some which result in fatalities. Couldn't get it out, which is a huge concern throughout the country of South Korea. According to a survey conducted by a Korean psychology magazine, more than 1 in 10 workers suffer from bullying almost every day. 5 to 6 office workers suffer from bullying at least once a month. And in 2017, the records show that as many as 70% of workers have experienced bullying. And it's also believed that Korea's longstanding order of respect in regards to age is the root to many of these bullying problems. The act of respecting your elders is seen as must, even with just a year's age difference, leading to the evolved to most likely be the victim. So I'm sure that one was a little bit more opinion based. Again, I will not talk about that as a non-Korean, but that is a factor as why they are saying bullying could be kind of hard because of the way their respectability culture is when it comes to ages, which I can see. So, but I don't want to give too much of my own American opinion. But yeah, those were my facts and statistics on bullying in America and Korea.
I'm still stuck on that girl being forced to drink her own urine.
Yeah, and eat cigarette butts.
I mean,
they force fed her cigarettes.
Right. It's like on one level, I'd like to think that our bullying problem is less severe, but at the same time, we have the most school shootings in the world. So, I mean, I don't know. It's bad all around.
Yeah.
What we lack in, we make up in another category. So it all kind of balances out.
But yeah, guys, that was the statistics. So, like I said, triggers all throughout. So we are going to go ahead and get into the show. I am going to just talk about the cast real quick. So no triggers, just not triggers. No spoilers just yet. So let's get into the actual glory. But I also just really wanted to do that just to let people know, like, this is a serious issue, you know, bullying. I feel like this is the first time I've really done like statistics like that. So we're all just more aware, especially if you didn't know. Some things even shocked me. The more you know, the more maybe you can make a change. That's why they're trying to take our education away from us in this country. But to move on. So we have our main lead, who is Moon Dong-un. She, of course, is the one that's being bullied, and she is plotting out the revenge and everything. And she is played by Song Kye-kyo. And Macy, she has an English name. Know how you love those English names. It is Lorraine Song. I think that's actually kind of pretty.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay. I'm going to get off topic just real quick because I've been seeing this name trend for a little bit, so I didn't know this person was like associated with her, but apparently she used to be married to a actor named Song Joong-gi.
Have you not seen Descendants of the Sun?
No, I have not.
Oh, because they're both the main leads in that show.
Is that like how they met, or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. But yes, but they're divorced now. But I've been seeing his name like online for the past couple weeks, not as much anymore. And like, until I did my research, I didn't know if that was her ex-husband. But like, I was seeing his name because like a while ago, he debuted his like international girlfriend. And, you know, it's a big deal, especially like one, when like celebrities date, and then two, when they date someone that's not Korean. And I found her name, so I just didn't call her like the white girl, because she is white. Her name is Katie Lewis Saunders.
She's British.
She's British. She's still white though.
Yeah.
I mean, because like, you could be black and be British. You could be, you know, from South Asia and be British, you know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, because the drama with that was like, you know, a couple weeks after like their relationship got like announced or like whatever. Actually, back in January, I wrote the date, January 30th, it was announced that he's marrying her and that she's pregnant with his child. Now, is he marrying her because she's pregnant? Because I know how the celebrities, especially in Korea, I don't think co-parenting is really a thing over there, because she's 5 months pregnant. So, you know, I'm going to just leave that question up in the air for you guys. Because they don't have kids, do they?
No, they don't.
Okay, so this is his first kid then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, just a little I guess celebrity gossip, some tea that I found out while doing this. Um yeah, I just had to bring that up because I kept seeing this man's name, and even when I was doing this, they brought his name up. I'm like, why is his name so familiar? So that's why. But I haven't watched any of the dramas that he's been in or is in. So
So you haven't seen Vincenzo either, right? Vincenzo?
no, and it always pops up, and I was like, I'll check this out. And I never did. And I can't remember if it was one of those times where like I clicked like the first, 10 minutes of it and then I got distracted and I never went back. It could have been one of those things, but no, I've never watched it. So
Gotcha.
yeah. But other shows that she has been in, Song Hye Kyo, is Full House. You said they played in Descendants of the Sun together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Descendants of the Sun. And that's also, of course, when she met the writer, because that's the writer of same writer as this show. Now, and we are breaking up. So that's the lead. Next, we have our character Ju Yo Jong, who is a doctor that we find out later, specifically a plastic surgeon. I'm assuming he is going to be her love interest, and teaches Dong-un how to play Go. And Go is an abstract strategy board game for two players in which the aim is to surrender more territories than the opponent. And yes, I had to research that because I had no idea what they were playing. And apparently it might be one of the oldest board games known in history, but don't quote me on that. But I think that's what I was seeing. Yeah, and he is played by the actor Lee Do Hyun, and some other dramas that he has been in is Clean with Passion for Now, Hotel Del Luna, and Sweet Home, which I've watched Sweet Home, and I need to rewatch it to see who he plays. But he's in Sweet Home, and I never finished Hotel Del Luna to this day. I don't think I will. I've tried to watch it twice. We'll see. But next we have Park Yeon Jin, who is the main school bully, which is her tormentor and the leader of the group that she gets revenge on. And she is played by the actress Im Ji Yeon. Other dramas she's been in is High Society, Welcome to Life, and Money Heist Korea. And I'm mostly talking about the adult actors, but I did write down the girl who plays her high school version, which is Shin Ye-eun. Because Nafis, did you recognize her? This is mostly a question for you.
I don't think I did.
She plays Dawn in Yumi Cells too.
Really?
Yes. That's why I was like, this girl looks so familiar.
Yo, I did not make that connection at all.
I was like, is that Dawn? Is that her? And it is. Also, apparently she was also in He is Psychometric with Jin Young. So they worked together before.
I don't know. I just didn't pick up on it. I was just so invested in the story.
But yeah. Yes, the younger version of her is Dawn from Yumi Cells too, that we did a review on. So next we have Kang Hyun Nam. I had to rewatch this because I didn't realize this, but I guess she works at the house of Park Yeon-jin and her husband. She also has an abusive husband, which we'll talk about when we talk about the show. And then she starts working for Dong-un as like basically a spy for her, for the revenge. And she is played by Yeom Hye-ran. And some shows she has been in is Goblin, While the Camellia Blooms, and Macy's favorite, The Uncanny Counter. I knew I recognized her from something.
Need to do that.
I need to finish that. Next, we have Jong Jae Jun. So he is one of the bullies, and he ends up being wealthy, just like he predicted as a teenager. And I guess this is a spoiler. You know what? No, I'm gonna save it till we get to the story. But yes, he is one of the bullies, and he is played by Park Song Hoon. And some shows he's been in is Jealousy Incarnate, Psychopath Diary, and Joseon Exorcist.
Exorcist.
I can't read. Apparently, it's late, y'all. Okay. Next, we have Ha Do Young. He is Park Yeonjin's husband and CEO of a very big, successful construction company in the show, Jaepyeong Constructions, and he is played by Jong Song Il. Shows he's been in is Stranger 2, Bad and Crazy, which I started on Netflix, so I need to actually finish because it looks interesting, and Our Blues. Next, we have Isara. She's also one of the bullies. She is, I put in quotations, like the church girls. And she's also a drug addict in the show. And she is played by Kim Hee-ra. So she is like a newer actress. So a lot of the shows that I pulled up, she has like small roles in them. So she played in Beyond Evil, Hospital Playlist 2, Forecasting Love and Weather. She was in Extraordinary. Ooh, she had a whole like episode. She played a North Korean defector, which we didn't get to talk about. But if you've seen Extraordinary, ooh, she's in that. And Bad Prosecutor. And then next we have Chae Hye-jong, also one of the bullies, and I put in quotation, she is the Gretchen of the group. If you guys seen Mean Girls, she is the Gretchen Wieners to me of the bully group. And she is played by Cha Ju-young. Other shows she's played in is Cheese in the Trap, which apparently I need to go and rewatch Cheese in the Trap. It's been so long. The Spies Who Loved Me, Alice, and The Final Weapon. Next, we have Son Myung-woo. He is the last bully. There's 5 of them. He's like the trouble guy when he gets older. Basically, when they become adults, he's Jeon Jae-jun's lackey. And I also put that he is Isara's drug dealer, and he's played by Kim Gon-woo. Other shows he's been in is Flight for My... Is it Flight or Fight? I think it's supposed to be Fight for My Way.
Fight My
Why
Way?
did it change?
Yeah, it is Fight for My Way.
Yeah.
I love that show. It's a great show.
I love it too.
Why did Spell Check change it to Flight? Because I've seen
Park
that.
Seo-joon's in that show, actually.
Yes,
Mhm.
I've seen that. That's why I'm like, it's not Flight, it's Fight. Anyway, Catch the Ghost and Record of Youth. And then last but certainly not least, we have the little daughter, the most adorable little girl in my opinion, Ha Yesul. She's the daughter of Ha Do Young and Park Yeojin. Her real name is Woo Ji Yul. And remember, Nafis, I kept telling you, I'm like, this little girl looks familiar. I've seen her in something before. You want to know what I've seen her in?
What?
She plays Baby Ooh in Attorney Ooh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she plays like when she's like 5 and stuff. She plays the child version of her. I knew I see her in something recently, and I'm so happy I saw that. I'm like, I knew I wasn't going crazy. And apparently she's also in the movie that's on, I know it's on Netflix, called Space Sweepers. I haven't watched it though, but she's in that. So yeah, that is the cast, guys. So for episode 1, this is where we get into the spoilers, guys. So if you want to go stop and watch it and then come back, you can do that. Or if you don't care about spoilers, listen ahead. But most of the episode is a flashback of Moon Dong-woo's high school days and her experience with the bullies. And then there was an incident that happened that ended up all of them being in the police station at the beginning. The homeroom teacher comes to the station and acts like the legal guardian for Dong-woon to take her home, which is also very surprising that they're allowed to do that, because I know here they will not let you go if you're a minor to anyone that is not a parent or legal guardian, or anyone the parent or legal guardian says it's okay for you to go to, just because kidnapping's so high here. So
I've seen that in other dramas.
Real quick, is this the same homeroom teacher?
same one.
Or is this a different one? It is the same one?
Same one. Yeah. So this is like all the beginning before like that huge incident happened. But then it's the same one because like immediately once he goes to pick her up, like he starts belittling her, like telling her like she didn't need to call the police on them. It was just like a silly prank. It didn't need to get like the authorities involved, things of that nature. Yes. Because then Jae-jun's also there and he's like, hey,
okay,
can
as
you
a
take me
teacher,
home too?
I'm going to comment on that. Like,
Go ahead.
what I think what she did was correct, and as a teacher I think he was wrong to say that to her, especially when she had like physical like scrapes and stuff on her.
I mean, her whole face was beaten in.
But anyway, this said homeroom teacher really irks me, but continue,
You're
please.
fine. So Jae-Jude also asks if he can like release him because like his parents are out of the country for like some type of golf thing. And then like it's a whole 180 when he's talking to him because he's like, oh, so where are your parents golfing? You know, like who's taking care of you while your parents are out of the country? You know, things like that. So then we jump to Park Yeojin's mother scolding her. And I have no idea what she was hitting her with, but she was obviously physically hitting her with something. But not because of the bullying, but because she got caught with the bullying and was sloppy about it. Just for reference, Park Yeonjin, Jae-Jun, and Sara all come from rich families. So they are like the average privileged teenagers. Their whole family's rich, all of that. And then she also scolds her basically about her friends. She tells her, like I just said, they're from rich families. So she was like, why are you hanging out with Myungyu and Hyejong? I told you can only hang out with Jae-Jun. And if you get bored, you're allowed to hang out with Sana because of their family, not the other two. And something about like the shaman told them that like they would receive bad luck if she hangs out with people with O's in their name. Because you see out like throughout the whole show, her mother and I'm assuming the family are very like into the shaman, which I don't know much about. So I'm not going to get into because I don't know if that's a whole like another religion in itself or not. But they're very into Shamanism, or I don't think that's a word. Anyway. So then the next day is like when that disturbing scene, of course, happens where most people know about the show is they bring Dong-un to the gym as punishment for Yeojin basically tells her from now on she's going to be like a curling iron tester to see if the iron is hot enough. So that's when, you know, they start burning her with the iron. And then when they find out it's hot enough, Sada starts like ironing Yeonjin's hair. And then during that scene too, Dong-un's like crying for help. And then like Hae-jong's like, oh, no one's going to come rescue you because we got the gym keys from the gym teacher, which also should be another thing we don't have time to talk about, how this grown-ass man is making out with a teenage girl. That's how she got the keys in the first place. She is like 16, 17. This is a grown-ass man.
That's immediate jail. Like,
jail.
Immediate jail, loss of your license, and like you can't teach again.
Because they make jokes about it too, and I'm like, no, this is grooming.
But not even just that though. Like he knew the purpose of why she wanted the keys.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Crazy.
God.
Adult number 2 that's disappointing in this show.
All the adults
all
are bad.
All the adults are disappointing in this show. I don't think there was one good redeemable adult except for, which was my next bulletin point, which was the nurse. And I only think she couldn't do more just because the position she was in, and she seemed young at the time, because she actually seemed to care when Dong-un went to the nurse's office and asked for just like hydroperoxide. And she's like, who did this to you? Like, these are serious burns. And then what gagged me, like I had to stop the show and laugh, was when she was asking that. Literally, Yeonjin is in one of the like student beds. She pulls the curtain back. She's like, oh, it was me. She's like, I did that.
She admits to it, still can't do anything about it.
So that just shows like the power she has of like being able to do this, can admit she did this and nothing's gonna happen to her, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
So, oh God, what power and money can do. And her laugh. I'm like, this girl is evil. I'm not gonna lie, she scared me more as a teenager than she did as an adult. I was more scared of her as a kid.
Yeah.
And then like not only that, like Dong-un can't even catch a break from school because they end up showing up to her house in quotation marks, because one of the things they do make fun of her for is that like her family's really poor, just her and her mom, that they actually live in. The captions say motel, but I guess it's one of those things where you can like rent out the rooms daily, so they don't actually really live there, and it's almost kind of like a extended stay hotel or motel type thing,
More
I
like a
guess.
hostel or something.
Yeah. But of course they show up there, bully her. They like break her piggy bank. I think Myungu does. And they're like, if you want the money back, dance. And then like Yojin does say something about her legs, how she has pretty legs, and then they pan off into like the hallway, which from her screams you could tell they are burning her legs with the iron that you use to like press clothes or iron clothes, which I don't think anyone really uses anymore in this day and age. But yeah, that's what they burn her legs with. So then also in the episode, Hyejong, I have no idea who calls her. I put that in parentheses. She gets a phone call basically from like an expensive ski resort that they're at teenagers, informing her that Donggu dropped out of school. But when she handed in like her reason for dropping out of school, she listed it for school violence and listed all of them as like bullies. So like this is when like the homeroom teacher kind of like gets upset because he calls Donggun and is like basically pressuring her and like threatening her to like change the reason because like the vice principal is getting on him. So like the principal doesn't find out as well as the public that there's school bullying happening at their school. And then this is your favorite part in the feast where if you want to get like talk about it more, you can. So like this is the one that I think had all of our bloods boiling, at least for me, out of this whole show when she shows up to, I guess the teacher's lounge and is like saying like fighting back. She's like standing up for herself. She's like, no, I'm not going to change, the reason I'm dropping out. It is because of school bullying. And like she shows, her burns and it's like, you guys allowed this to be done to me. So why would I lie and say that it's something else? And then, at first he does that thing where it's like he's lifting up his arm like he's threatening to hit her before he actually does. And then like he literally tells her, and I quoted this from like the caption. So like he tells her when she's saying all this, did they break an arm or a leg? None of your limbs are broken. I don't see the problem here. At this point, you're being delusional. Friends hit each other all the time or every once in a while. So like it's really not a big deal. And so when he actually gets violent with her is when she brings up his son. And I feel like this is kind of like the author's way of like inciting that question her daughter asked her in real life, because she brings up his son who I guess just got accepted to like university, and she's like, would you be okay with this if he was hit as hard as he could? And that's when all hell breaks loose, where like
he takes off his
first he hits her
watch,
literally rolls up his sleeve, takes off his watch like he about to get into a street brawl, like he a pimp, like punishing his prostitute for not getting enough money. First he hits her with a book, and then he just like starts going at her like in the face. Like he gets a good 4 or like 5 slaps in until the other useless adults in the room actually are like, oh, okay, wait, he's hitting her too much, let's actually stop this. Like first they're sitting around like watching, then they're like, hey, don't do this, man, she's just a kid. And then they actually do something when she gets on the ground and he starts actually trying to kick her in the ribs. Useless adults. But did we want to say anything about that before I move on?
And I think the one that held him back was like saying something like it's not worth it or something. But whatever he said was not in favor of the student.
No, it was so he wouldn't lose his job, not because he's worried about the actual girl that's being beaten to death by an adult.
But like for me though, like I'm just so shocked that he didn't think twice. You know what I mean? Because like typically like you have like I guess a favorite, quote unquote, but like when you see something like that happen, you kind of have to like, step in and be the adult. The fact that he didn't do that clearly showed that he was like bought out by them. I mean, you kind of find that out later, but like it's just very obvious at this point. Mm-hmm. Like whatever it is, like you can almost see that like whatever that group of kids, like their parents had something on him.
The influence, on the whole school, I'm sure.
But no, like that scene just like got my blood boiling, and then the one where they were like just burning her. And he's like, oh, like you were saying, like, oh, did they break a bone? But no, they burned her. That's worse.
She could literally get some physical problems in the future from those burns.
Yeah.
Some type of infection that can like disable her later. Like, no, they didn't break a bone in this moment, but you could cause me lifelong like health problems.
Exactly. Like, they weren't even like boo-boo burns. They were just like second, third degree burns. Like, they were serious. Almost.
Yeah. And she wasn't treating them well. She was taking care of them herself. So she never went to like a hospital or anything.
And I think one of them did get infected, actually, now that I think about it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Two things. I don't know. I'm assuming that this story, like real time, is like what year this was set in, because I know that
this was early 2000s, I think,
when she was in school. Because capital punishment used to be a thing. Like, teachers used to use physical violence for, like, at least, you know, it's referenced in a lot of shows where they'll, like, do you want to write an apology letter, or would you like to get hit 10 times or whatever, you know? So, like, not that it's an excuse, obviously, but it may have not been completely uncommon for these other teachers to witness violence like this. That would be my one reasoning. And then also like the bystander effect, where it's like, oh shit, something's happening, and like somebody else will jump in, you know, not to defend them in any way, but I feel like that could play part of it. Is like, one, capital punishment was used in that time frame, and two, the bystander effect. And then it's like, oh, you know, that was my thought process in that. It's like, it's not okay, it's never okay. And those teachers he shouldn't have done that in the first place, and they should have stepped up immediately. Like, he shouldn't have had the opportunity to hit her. But those are like my thought processes. I'm like, is that like, are we in that time frame of schooling?
Well, I think because she's in high school, so I think she was in high school around, I don't remember the actual year. It was at least between, I'll give the time frame 2002 and 2005 or 6, because I think when she worked in the factory, it said, I saw dates of like 2008 when she officially dropped out. She was working in that factory. So I want to say between maybe like 2004 and 2006 is when she was in high school, which I still feel like, I mean, but then again, you know, this is a different country. When you said that, Macy, in America, when did that happen? Like, when did they stop really disciplining children like that in schools in America?
I don't know. I don't have time frames for that. So it just made me think, like, is that...
Yeah, because we just have to remember, like, because, you know, Korea developed fast as, like, technology and stuff, but just not, like, in certain ways. Yeah. So I could also see it that way in that time frame. Maybe they were still doing that, which isn't okay, but still.
That is a good point, though, actually. I didn't think about that.
That was my only thought process, is, like, why they didn't jump up immediately is, like, oh, like, students did this. Like, if you were out of line, they had reason to hit you. Like, they couldn't get in trouble for it. But
he didn't have a reason to hit her, though.
No, he didn't.
And it's one thing just to hit. It's one thing to just hit her. He was literally beating on her. Like, he was.
No, he was
far.
Like in the middle of like a MMA fight. Like that's what it looked like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they didn't jump in until she was on the ground. He was about to start kicking her.
Yeah, and that's when I think it's like, okay, well. First, I thought, like, this was just something that they saw every once in a while. And then second, I was like, bystander effect. Like, oh, like, it happened quickly. Not quickly enough that somebody couldn't have stopped in and helped. But that was my thought process through that. And then, like, he should have received some kind of punishment for that. But then it's like, they get swept under the rug because, like, the teachers have, like, the authority, and they're not going to rat their own teachers out, and then the money thing and whatnot. And then one other thing I was going to say, I think that scene where she's, like, laying in the snow to, like, help her burns broke me almost more than witnessing the burning happening.
Yeah, because she started doing that when she decided not to jump, actually. She was on the roof. Before she started cleaning them, she was actually going to jump off the roof and kill herself. So, but then it gets worse, because even actually after that scene, Macy, we jump to like the principal themselves and Yojin's mother. They go out and actually find Dongwoo's mom and bribe her basically with money fill out the dropout form and say the reason was for the English is maladjustment, and then the Korean is bu jong ung. So I didn't know what maladjustment meant, but it's basically just used in children, mostly a reason that they've been raised in a way that doesn't prepare them for like the demands of life, which usually leads to like behavioral problems. So they were saying basically due to her home situation led to her having behavioral problems to where she couldn't be able to be in school and have her sign off. And then after that, I mean, but I also don't blame her. So like later she went somewhere, I think, and then she comes back and then she sees, I don't know if it's like the owner of the motel, but basically cleaning out like the room they were staying in. And she's like, oh, your mother didn't contact you? She moved out this morning. She's like, don't worry, maybe she'll call you later. I'm like, what? What kind of
logic is that?
Culture difference. This has to be culture difference. I don't know. Anyway, she just sees all her stuff outside the room and her mother just like left town basically without telling her. So she abandoned
after she got the money.
After she got the money.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'd have very mixed feelings about this because I'd like to think as a like if I was a mother, no matter how much we were struggling, we're going to war if you did this to my kid. Like, this is not okay. I would not sign off on it. But then second of all, it's like, okay, let's take a step back. Okay, what if we accept this money? We can get you out of here. We can transfer you to a new school. We can get you help with this money. But to just straight up abandon her?
Yeah.
Like, how awful.
Yeah, that just shows, I guess, her mother didn't really care about her either, so...
Mm-hmm. And then, like, she's such a kind person for being able to, like, drop things off at her mother. I don't know if she's planning revenge on her mom because she is on her little board, but
yeah,
she's bringing her like groceries and stuff and like trying to like take care of her. So I'm like, what's the plan there? Because like I feel like mom deserves some karma as well.
I don't know. I mean, mom also seems like she's still, even with that money she took down bad, so it doesn't seem like she's doing good for herself.
Or if she has some reason to be spending the money elsewhere.
Yeah. But then after all that, basically, like I said, she basically starts doing like odd, I'll say like some part-time jobs. So like first we see her working at a diner and then like cleaning a bathhouse and then of course contemplating suicide again, or I think she's at like a river, one of the rivers that's over there. Cause I know she talks about like, you know, it's still winter around that time. So like I could just go into this water and like freeze to death. I know she says something like this
the Han River,
and it just be over. Yeah. In a second. And then basically towards the end of like episode 1, we see, Dong-un after she like dropped out and everything, she goes back to the gym where the bullies are. And she confronts them. And I think she asks them what their dreams are. And so that's when like, hey, Jung says hers is a stewardess, Sada's to be a painter, Jae-jun's to own a golf club. Byung-go just says he wants to be rich. And then Yoonjin's like, I'm already wealthy enough. So like, I just want to get married and have a kid, maybe do like a small job. That doesn't take much effort on my part. And then that's when Dong-un says like her dream is Yeojin. So that's where we kind of see the crack, because even after that, she starts, you know, laughing a little bit. And then that's when we see her like, you know, working at the factory. While she was at the factory, she was studying and then took her GED.
I really appreciated that she did that though. Like she didn't just completely leave education.
Listen, if anything that revenge is going to do, it's going to motivate you. So like she's very smart. So that revenge definitely pushed her to not only not give up on her life, but do other things as well. So yeah.
I do want to say though, like when she was living in that room, I guess, the girl that she would always like run into, I'm glad she had that. Whenever she would like come back home or whenever she was like studying in the hallway. So I'm glad she had like some sort of positive interaction throughout it all.
Me too. So that was episode 1, guys. Okay, so we're going to move on to episode 2. So when I was watching this, I didn't realize, like, for some reason when I watched the first time, I missed a lot, especially all the stuff I said in episode 1. I didn't realize was happening. So in episode 2, I guess it starts off when they're adults, but the year is 2012. So in 2012, like I said in the first episode, she finished like her degree and everything. She actually ended up leaving the factory she was working in to start becoming a teacher, because that's what she was studying to be and going to college. So we basically open it up to her, Dong-un, looking up the bullies and their lives through Facebook, when we all use Facebook, guys. You know, it's 2012. And then so we see where the bullies are in their life. So Yeonjin, I don't know why I say Yeonjin. Yeonjin becomes a weather person. She's a very famous, well-known, like, weather girl. I don't know the actual terminology. What are weather people called? What is their field of study?
I thought it was meteorologist.
Yes, and I'm surprised she is a meteorologist, because I'm sure she did not go to school for it. So again, I'm sure she bought her way into that.
100%.
Don't you need to go to school for meteorologist?
I think so.
Yeah, I think she did, actually. But it was just like an easy road up. It wasn't like a fight.
Yeah, I don't know how easy it is to be a meteorologist, but that's what she is.
I'm sure she needed a college degree for her perfect life, you know?
That's true.
About, like, rich people like nice schools with nice degrees on their, like, resumes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now that you said that, yeah, I get that. Especially over there, like, school's very important over there. So, Hye-jung became a flight attendant, like she said. Jae-jun, of course, is still rich. I thought he just owned the clothing store, but I guess he also really does own a prestigious golf club over there, which I was confused about the first time I watched it, but then I realized that the second time. He
inherited from his family. Like, he didn't create
might have.
it. It's just, he just manages it now.
But he does probably somehow created that clothing store that he owns. Sada is actually a painter, and she must get that from her money because she don't have to do anything else. But she actually is a surprisingly really good painter. And then Byung-go is Sada's weed dealer, as well as other drugs. And like I said earlier, Jae-jun's personal assistant, basically. And I don't know if they emphasize that Sada takes other drugs, because especially later on, that we'll get into when she goes through like withdrawals, I'm like, I hope they're not stigmatizing weed, because you don't go through withdrawals like this just off weed. So I think she does other drugs, but that was just my thought process. It's not just the weed, guys. If anything, the cigarettes and alcohol is a lot worse than weed. I'ma just say it. But we continue. And then it's also interesting that we learn through this whole thing. Now, I don't know how long they've been doing this, but we also find out that Jae-jun and Yeonjin have been sleeping together. We actually cut to a scene where they're like having sex in his office, which I guess it's near the fitting room. Is it the actual fitting room? Or,
yeah,
so it's in the fitting room.
It's like, we can't. The fitting rooms are out of order right now.
Oh, they shameless. I thought his office was just next to the fitting room.
No.
Oh, God. Which, again, I need to get used to sex scenes in Korean dramas, because I was like, whoa.
Right, I wasn't really expecting that.
Yeah, I've noticed that's becoming a very popular thing nowadays. It's like, no, the reason why I watch K-dramas is to avoid that, but...
I mean, I do. It's prevalent in their movies, just not their dramas. So...
It's really only that one time. Like, it doesn't really happen again.
Yeah, it's not like when I watched that show Somebody. So this is a lot more toned down than in Somebody. Just saying. Just saying. But obviously she's like cheating, because once they're done having sex, he immediately asks her, this is before she got married, how is the wedding plans going? So she's engaged around this time, but she's still sleeping with him. And I don't know how long they've been sleeping together. It doesn't say like when they started, but it's obviously been a while. Honestly, it might have even started maybe like after high school, could have been around their college, something like that.
Weren't they together in high school?
I don't think they were dating. I don't think so. I think they were just a friend group.
Because doesn't he like lie down on her lap and say like ask her something? Or is that different people?
It might have been them, but I don't think they were ever dating.
I remember that scene. I think it was them, and she had asked him, or no, I thought it was the other guy, because whichever one like forcefully kissed her, like
it's a colorblind guy. Wait,
colorblind guy is Jae Jun.
Yeah. No, I'm saying whoever like put their mouth on her mouth in that one scene, she was like asking him if he found those kind of girls attractive, that scene. So I don't know. I would assume that she was talking to whoever that person was.
When you say forcing kissing, are you talking about force kissing Donghoon?
Yes.
Because that was Myunggo, and because that's when he started getting tattoos, because they emphasized the tattoo on his neck, which I have no idea what it says. But in high school, Jae Jun was a little bit more quieter, which I think made him more scarier, as we see when he becomes an adult. It's always the quiet. They always say it's the quiet ones, guys. When we say that, we made it. But yeah. So in high school, Myunggo was the one that was more like violent and forceful. Not that like Jae Jun wasn't evil also, because in later episode we see like a flashback of how he tormented Donghoon, but he was just more like quiet about it, or like did it privately. So even away from everyone else. And then it was also interesting when they do that, because she also said something about like she asks him, or she tells him, let her know if he ever actually wants to get married, because she doesn't like sharing. I'm like, ma'am, you are engaged. What are you talking about? You don't like sharing. You were engaged to a whole ass different man.
Double standard.
They belong together. But also this episode, we officially meet our second lead, Ju Yo Jong. They end up both being in the ER. He got into some type of fight. I don't know what fight it is, but their beds are next to each other. And then we also learn
he's
like
the
when
second
they wake
lead?
up that isn't he considered the second lead?
I thought he was the first lead. Or all these bullies the first leads. I don't know.
have no idea. I don't know either. I only called him the second. I don't know how this works, because isn't she the first lead? How does the terminology work?
So Donghoon, I think, is the first lead because the story is about her.
It's about her. I figured he was the second lead because I feel like they're setting it up to him basically being her love interest. I mean, he already says like he has a crush on her.
He's the most useless part of this story. Sorry, I said it. For part one, at least.
Part one, the feast. We don't know, and we learn later he has a dark side himself.
No, he does.
A dark past.
You can tell he kind of does, based off like the hints that they gave about his story. But I just like feel like for her story, like what part does he play? He doesn't need to be there.
He taught her how to play Go, which is essential to her.
Okay, and they could have just ended it right there. But like he doesn't like. If they removed his character, that story would not have changed.
So I'm gonna fight you with this a little. I do think he's a little bit necessary, because honestly, out of everybody in the revenge story, besides the woman that ends up helping her, who catches her,
he's sympathetic towards her. Like I understand that, but I'm just saying it shouldn't have been like a romantic thing. That's what I'm saying.
I agree on the romantic thing, but I also think he brings her, like grounds her in a way, kind of reminds her like there are some good things. Like he brings her out of her revenge in a way, because meeting Kim I don't think was planned, but I do think he brings that, like, I don't want to say human side, but like reminds her that like even though she's going with this plan, whether it ends up like with all of them dead or something, like she is not just a monster. She's not just her revenge. She can find some type of light in this horrific life that has been tormenting her since high school. So I do think in that sense he's necessary. Do I think there needs to be romance? Probably not, but you know how anti-romantic I am. But besides that, I do think he's necessary.
No, that would have been such a beautiful friendship arc if they had chosen to do that. I don't think it needed to be romantic.
Listen,
I don't know.
Anyway, I was just going to say that for me, it's like that even though he likes her, it doesn't necessarily have to go down that road. She could reject him and they'd just be friends. But at the same time, I like that they've given her someone that just truly is on her side. I think she needs that.
Yeah.
And like at the very end is when more so that she reveals to him like her scars and her plan.
That was such a strong scene.
Right? And I feel like he will be more crucial in part 2. They kind of just like set his storyline up on how they met and everything and how he's like a good person for her to have. Just emotionally support wise, I feel like she has been introduced to so many people in her life that just suck that she deserves somebody by her side that's going to treat her properly. So I like him. I think he's necessary because like you cannot do that alone. Like it's going to take a toll on you. And if she has one person on her side who can help her with this, besides the lady, but she's technically paying that lady. I know that lady is being really kind to her and she's being kind to her, vice versa, but she's technically paying her for doing those things, where I think he is ride or die for her, which is awesome. I think she needs that support. So...
And we're jumping because, like, even she told him, she's like, I don't need a Prince Charming. I need an executor. So when she was
like, I was ready. I'm ready.
I will be your executor. I actually thought that was
ready.
cute, though. I'm not going to lie.
Just tell me where to go.
Exactly. Tell me where to show up. Tell me where to pull up. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. She's also in a really dangerous situation. I mean, they've shown us that these people are dangerous. So having somebody on her side that can help, like, get her out of things and protect her, I'm all for.
Yes. So... And then also in the second episode. So like I said, he's the one who basically teaches her how to play that game Go, which we later realize is part of her revenge, because it kind of time jumps throughout the second episode. So I can't tell what time we're in, but I know they say like in 2015 is when she actually passed her exam to be a teacher. And that's also the same year that Park Yeojin actually gave birth to her daughter. So she gave birth in 2015. And then I did actually have like a question for you guys in the second episode. Is basically like, so we start seeing like as adults, they start treating, especially like Yeojin and Sara and their little like, especially the three girls, their friend group, like how they start treating Hyejong a little bit differently. So I was just wondering how you guys think about that. This is why I called her. Again, if you've ever seen the 2004 movie Mean Girls, the Gretchen of the group, because even Sada told her during this one confrontation where I think they found out that like Hyejong was saying something about their past and like she was telling her like, hey, cool it. Don't talk about high school times because things can get revealed about her bullying. But she tells her that like if Donghoon wasn't here, then like you would have been in her place. It would have been her bullying you. So... And you can kind of see that even in high school, too, like when before Dongwoo shows up, like at the last second at the gym when she's already expelled, like they're telling her like to go run errands. Like I think they tell her to go like run and go get some milk. And she does try to find back a little, like thinking he's being playful. But then when she realizes it's serious, like she shuts up immediately and goes and gets the thing until Donghoon shows up at the gym. But still, I just wanted your thoughts of how quickly those two turned on her.
Oh, I don't know if you brought this up earlier, but before Donghoon, they did this to other girls too.
Yes, there were other girls before her.
Yeah, and then Donghoon for some reason was the one that stuck because she actually fought back.
There's another one as well that we'll talk about later, the reason why they stopped with her. But yes, for some reason, I think because Donghoon stoned up for herself, they're like, oh, we're going to break her. So that's when they stuck with her the most. But again, I just wanted to know your opinions on how quickly they were willing to turn on one of their friends. Even though I don't even know if Yeojin actually considered these girls her friends anyway.
I don't think they were really friends with her, though. Like, she was just, I guess they just let her stay because she was, like, affluent enough, I guess. But, like, I don't think they were really friends. Yeah. Because if there was anyone that they would sacrifice, it would be her.
Yeah, it also seemed like she had her own privileges, not because, like, riches or anything, but, like, because she was pretty, especially in high school, like we said about, like, the gym teacher earlier. So... able to get them favors in other ways besides money.
I think it's like a pack system. You know, you have your like leaders and whatnot, and they always need somebody to be the punching bag. So like if they are without one, the lowest member of the pack is going to become that. Just because they're like power trippy, you know, they have to be like over somebody. So I think she just falls the shortest for like being able to be picked on.
In my opinion, though, I think what's his name? The one who forced himself on Dongun?
Myongo?
The one who ends up being an errand boy as an adult.
His name is Myongo.
Myongo,
Yeah.
I would think he would be the lowest. Just because he just has
he
less to
technically
offer.
is.
Now, yeah.
I think he is.
Right, but he straight up disappears at one point, so she's
It's basically like
left.
Yeah, it's Yeonjun basically. Yeonjun basically at the top. She's like the queen bee. Probably Jaejun second. Sara, Hyejong, and then Myongo. That's what it seems like it is as far as they're ranking in that group. So but then yes, and then basically at the end, this is when we get introduced to the woman Kang Kyon Nam, where and then I completely missed this the first time. She basically confronts Donghoon because she sees her going through the trash of Park Yeonjin because surprise, surprise, the revenge is so deep that she moved into an apartment that is literally right across the street from her house so she can like spy on her when she's at the rooftop and everything. So I was like, dang, that's insane. Also, it's just insane how an apartment complex is that close to a house. But I'm sure that's just the way their land is set up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like,
I'm surprised she didn't notice at all whatsoever.
She just seems to be in her own world. I'm not sure. Maybe she's good at hiding. I don't know.
Because how do you not notice someone staring? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they can see her. I don't know how far away the apartment is. And she was mostly doing it at night, so.
I suppose.
Especially if she didn't know Donghoon was around. Like, she didn't know she was around. Because I think she went to college somewhere else, and then she ended up, when she got approved to live in that apartment, she moved there. So if you're unaware of somebody, you're not going to be paying attention.
Yes.
But after meeting Kang Kyon Nam, she basically is like, I've seen you going through their trash like for the past 6 months. And she's like, I won't turn you in or say anything if you kill my husband. That's where we end episode 2. And then episode 3 basically.
We have a new alliance form.
Yes, as a new alliance form. So episode 3 basically opens up to the daughter of Kang Kyon Nam. She's on her phone, and I think she's basically looking up like juvenile acts. And then we see basically the reason why Kang Kyon Nam asks if Donghoon can kill her husband, because he is abusive as hell. So this is where I get my facts. School time with Simone, my juvenile and Korean facts. So this was wild to me. And the articles I found are recent. So what I learned about the juvenile system in Korea, because I was really interested in this, apparently children who are under the age of 10, and in the article it says between 8 and 9 internationally, but I don't know how that's going to change since they're getting rid of the Korean system this year. So I don't know how those ages are going to change. But basically, if you're under the age of 10 in South Korea, you will not be punished even if they commit a crime. So any child under the age of 10, whatever crime they commit, they will not be punished for it. They can probably commit straight up murder. They will not be punished for it. They won't be punished for anything.
Which is why the daughter said what she said. Or was the daughter older than 10?
I feel like she was like in middle school.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, she'd be older.
Yeah, I don't actually know how old she is. She's definitely older than 10.
But she was confident, though.
She was confident. So in juveniles between the ages, so like older than 10 to 14, again, this says between 12 and 13 internationally, but I'm sure it'll change. They're not subject to any single criminal punishment. They'll only be subject to protective measures such as juvenile detention or probation. So that is probably why she was confident. Because she didn't seem any older maybe than like 14, 15. And if she did do anything, she might get like juvenile detention or probation. And I actually found a real life example in that article. So I guess back in 2019 in December, in the city Guri in the Gyeonggi-do province, there was a 5th grade girl that stabbed another girl to death and was only serviced 2 years in juvenile prison. And because around the time she did it she was between the age of 10 and 13. So she only served 2 years in prison for killing somebody, stabbing them to death. Yeah. And then juveniles between the age of 14 and 19 years old will be subjected to protective and criminal dispositions. However, they still can't be sentenced to more than 20 years in prison, even if they commit a violent crime under special circumstances. So that's just some facts as of now of how like a small glimpse of the juvenile system works in Korea, which I know there's a lot of backlash for that, especially I guess since crime in juveniles are going up. So yeah. Okay. But yeah, so Donggu basically hires Kang Kyo-nam in this episode to help with the revenge. And then she makes a promise, like basically she'll help. Instead of killing her husband, she's not ready for all that just yet. I don't know if she ever will. Do you think that she will actually kill the husband, Macy?
I don't know if she's actually going to kill him or if she's going to just like, I could see her framing him for something and putting him in jail forever. Like that I could see. Or having somebody else kill him. I don't know. I don't think she's capable of killing someone. I'd like to think she isn't. So
I mean, we'll see in part 2, but yeah. But in exchange, she does offer, since she is a teacher and went to school for teaching, to help her daughter with school. So then also in this episode, this is where we learn that Yojin is hiding a secret about her daughter from the husband, which is crazy. So Ha Ye-sol actually has a disability, which we later find out is color blindness. Does it sound familiar? Because we said a specific person in their friend group has color blindness. But before we get into that, the bells are going. When I saw that sign that said something about color blindness, I'm like, hold up now. What is happening here? Do not tell me what I'm thinking in my head. But I got some interesting facts about color blindness because I didn't know. Did you know much about color blindness?
Not really. I don't really know what causes it, if it's a genetic thing that you're just born with or if you can develop it. And just that people see in more of a gray scale. They can see some colors and there's different levels of it, but not.
I'm gonna break your superstition. Welcome to Simone's class of Simone, one of those. Anyway, so I got this from the National Eye Institution. I'm assuming this is universal. But anyway, color blindness means that you see color differently than most people and you have trouble telling the difference between certain colors, how bright the colors are, and the different shades of colors. So it actually is hereditary and it does run in the family. So you can only catch color blindness if it's something that's hereditary in your family. Men are at a higher risk than women, so it's more common that men have color blindness than women do. And there is no cure for it, but they do have like special glasses and contacts that helps them to where it doesn't affect them too much in their everyday lives. So like we said, one character throughout the show, we see he puts in certain contacts, I think, to help him with the color blindness. And there are actually 3 different types of color blindness. So the first one is the most common one, which is red-green. And they have trouble seeing the different types between red and green. And there's 4 types of red-green color blindness, but I didn't write all that down. Just to let you know, the big umbrella, red-green, most common. You have trouble differentiating between the colors red and green. And then the second one, which is the least common, is blue-yellow. So it makes it hard to tell the difference between blue and green and yellow and red. And there's actually 2 types of blue-green blindness. And when I was researching this and watching the show, I actually think, I don't know about him, but I think the little girl has this one. I think Yesel has, I'm going to mispronounce this, Tritanopia? Oh, God. Macy, if I spell this for you, do you think you could help me?
I can try.
Tritanopia.
Can you text it to me?
Yeah. I know it's try something. Tritanopia? That's how you spell it.
Yeah, I would just say Tritanopia.
Tritanopia? Okay. So I think this is the one, if you watch it, once I explain it to you, like if you go back and rewatch it, that she has, because it makes you unable to tell the difference between blue and green, purple and red, and yellow and pink. And it also makes colors look less bright. So from watching it, I think that's what she has. I don't know about Homeboy, but I think this is what the little girl has. And the last one, which is like the most rare of them all, the most uncommon out of the three, is complete color blindness, which is also called monochromacy. And this one also affects like your ability to seeing clearly and like having an extra sensitivity to light. But that's the one where I think most people think of when they think of color blindness, where you can't see color at all. But that's actually the most rare one.
Yeah, I knew there were multiple levels of it. I wasn't sure of like what exactly, but I knew that like some people could see certain colors and then others could see like nothing or whatever. So, and so that's interesting. Yeah, primary colors are important because it's going to affect a lot of the other things that you see as well. It's not just those 4 colors.
Yeah, and we see, especially throughout the show, we see her struggling with that a little bit. And her mom tries to tell her like to keep it a secret, but I mean, it's hard. She's a kid. So I know that one scene got to me where like she was at the crosswalk and she was looking at like the sign and she couldn't tell the difference between like the colors of like when to cross the street and when not to. I'm happy she didn't, but that just showed like she was struggling.
Right. You would think, I would assume that people who can't tell just know like which one it is, you know, like when it's on. Like top one means go, middle one means slow down, bottom one means stop. But I can't remember if their lights are different. I'm sure they are than ours.
Yeah, I'm sure they teach you about like the lights, but then again, like I said, I don't know if the other
She's
two.
Young. She may have not known yet.
I don't know if they affect your ability to see light as well,
if it's
like
brightness,
the last one.
For sure, then you might not be able to tell which one it is at all. That's even lit up.
So,
currently.
and then another thing that I just wrote is that this is also when Donghoon and Myungwoo basically meet back up. She mysteriously shows up at the clothing store just randomly, quotations, and then they basically start. I say like she manipulates him. He seems very gullible and like easily swayed to like start working together. So like he basically starts working for Donghoon to get her revenge.
Yeah,
and this is also what we learned about. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, whoever has the highest bid is who he's gonna go with. I don't think he has any
Pretty
loyalty.
much. I don't think so either. But then this is also where she brings up the former student Yoon So-hee, which we talked about. They bullied others before. But we bring up that character because that was like, I think the person they were bullying before Donghoon. And it was always rumored that like she killed herself. But then like, I think the thing that got Myungwoo, because he's like, well, what if I told you she actually didn't kill herself? What if I know that she was murdered and I witnessed it? And that gets him interested because he's like, which one of the 4 possibly could be the murderer?
I'm curious to know if she is telling him the truth. You know what I mean? Like, part of me was like, did that really happen? Not that she did not kill herself, but that I believe that she was murdered. But I wonder if like part of her strategy is throwing him off, or if she was honest with him, about who did it.
Well, yeah, because I know there is a scene where we do
that she's not going to get her hands dirty. Like, she's going to manipulate other people to do things for her,
to do her work for her.
Yeah. I mean, I would be happy with her going to jail as a murderer if they can prove that. But some part of me is like, I wonder if she is playing a card here and maybe she's not telling him the full truth so that he, because she doesn't want him to succeed either. Like, why would she just give him information that he could potentially use against her, like, without her being involved? I guess. I don't know. I just had a weird feeling that maybe she wasn't telling him the truth. But
I don't know, because you could also see, like, I don't think he questions it too much, because, like, as he's telling her that, I think yes, he's, like, he has no loyalty, but he's not that dumb either. Like, he could tell, like, she knows other stuff that can potentially harm him as well.
Yeah.
So.
And, I mean, I'm pretty sure she killed him. So, because we see her shoes. But
I don't think she killed him.
No?
She didn't know he even went missing, remember?
But you see her shoes walking away from him on the ground.
I didn't think that was her shoes. I thought they were, like, hinting that Sada might have done it.
No, those are her shoes. She originally has them. And then you see her, like, cleaning them.
Are you talking about Dongun or are you talking about Yeonjin?
Yeonjin.
Okay, for some reason I thought you were talking about Dongun. Yes, we are talking those green.
I don't know their names super good, so
you're fine. You're gonna have to, like, just say, like, the leader or whatever to help me, because I was so confused.
We see her shoes walking away from him on the ground, and then she's cleaning them later on, and she's got, like, that injury on her foot. So I would assume that it's her that kills him. So is she a double murderer now? Or is somebody else wearing her shoes? But she has the injury on her foot, so I'm pretty sure it was her. Or was she there alone? Did she do it alone? Did she maybe just kick him as, like, a fuck you at the end? Or, like, so I don't know. I just had a weird feeling that she wouldn't give him such vital information. Like, she wouldn't trust him with that because she knows that he's not loyal. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was a twist of events on who actually did the pushing.
Yes, but then another thing, like, I also feel like she is also one of the ones that wouldn't really get her hands dirty, because, like, again, we're jumping around. It's like, where are those two guys that came from? He was beaten up pretty badly. I don't think she was able to beat him up that badly just by herself. Yeah, and it's like those two guys that
she was definitely there. That's why it's like, I think.
I was waiting for you. Keep going.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was done. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not so sure that she would get her hands dirty, but we know she was there. And that's why I think maybe she just, like, helped or kicked him out of frustration. And that's how she got injured. And why her shoes would have been bloody. Because she was definitely there. And she could have been there on the rooftop as well. Because she did lose her badge, like her name tag. So she got it from somewhere. I don't know if I buy her actually doing the physical act. Just because of the way she works, like she doesn't really do the burning either. She just orders it and watches.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like how you said she gets other people.
She likes playing mastermind. Yeah, yes. But she doesn't want to get her actual hands dirty.
Listen, we said this at the very beginning before we started talking about the show. Women are scary.
Yeah. No, I very. But that's all I meant by, like, I don't know if I believe her telling him that, only because I think that she's smart enough to know not to give him such high value information.
I get that. I mean, and I wouldn't give him all the information either, because I mean, he has to work for it, as he does jobs for Dongun.
Yeah, like I was like, that was, like, too easy for him to, like, know, like, the main thing. Oh, she's actually a murderer. Like, so. We'll see how that plays out, but. And
the shoes that Macy you're talking about is that, like, at the beginning that
those, like, green
Yeonjin husband gives, like, a present to her, basically, because he's all rich and stuff, of some, like, green high heels for when she works. Yeah.
And they have this big, like, stone on top of them, which obviously cut her when she was, I would assume that she kicked him. That's what my guess is.
Yeah. And she's also very different with her husband than we see her with anyone else. So it's like, it's interesting how she can like flip that as well. As like, is she also playing her husband? Because her husband thinks she's one thing. I mean, I think he has like hints. And again, the husband's not dumb. I'm surprised he put a lot of things together so quickly. He was just quiet about it.
Right. I also, like, I don't know how I feel about him, because obviously he's married to a psychopath, but
I mean, he's also rich. I'm sure he has some type of psychopath in him as well.
Yeah, well, he listens to, what is it? Remind me of the main character's name again, so I can actually say her name.
Moon Dong-un.
Dong-un?
Yeah.
Okay, so he listens to her side of it first. Like, that was kind of odd to me. Like, I think I was expecting him to go to his spouse first, but he like listens to her side first before
But that just plays into also things where, like, even before that, like, you can already see he doesn't really seem to trust his wife, because there's little things that she does that I think breaks her character as like the sweet housewife that he notices, especially with the daughter. Yeah. And then when he starts putting pieces together about their daughter, I think is when he really starts losing trust in her. So, and then like, hey, I don't really know much about your friends or things like that.
Acts. Like, is he gonna stand by her, or is he gonna get out before things get hairy? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So I didn't write much for episode 4, but basically it was just like anytime anyone brings up Jae-Joon's like color blindness, he turns into a different person of rage. That's when I was like, oh, this man is actually very scary. So especially that one scene with like that one girl. I don't know if she was just like, I'll say like an escort or something, or someone he just picked up.
Yeah.
And like,
oh my God,
she's
scary.
in the bathtub, and he says something about her hair, and she's like, it's red. What are you, blind or something? Like, I was like, girl, shut up.
Yeah, don't say that. You're gonna die.
You're happy you did it. You're so happy he didn't grab your hair and like smashed you into the bathtub. He just threatened you slightly, but yeah, no, that
I think
part.
He can't stand having an imperfection. So it's like if anybody points it out even remotely, he's like, yeah, no, you're going to die today. That's the wrong thing to say.
Because we open up in that scene, I think, when they were in high school and he's beating someone up like almost to death. I think they said something about his color blindness. Yes. So, yeah. Because like when he's bleeding, he holds up his fist. He's like, what color is this now? Can I not see this? It's red or something like that. So I was like, oh, he's the one we need to watch out for.
His biggest insecurity, right?
So, which shouldn't be that much of an insecurity. But then again, like we gave the statistics earlier, kids will bully you for anything.
Yeah. He probably was worried that if he didn't keep it under wraps, he would be bullied himself, even though he was an influential bully himself. Yeah.
And come from power and money, so. But then I also wrote in this one, I didn't take much in this episode, but also just opened my eyes more just about like how they care about like reputation over there and like social status. Because I didn't mention this earlier, because this is the scene where it took me a long time to realize that her sonbae in university is the son of the homeroom teacher. Yeah. So the whole scene where he like finds out basically what his dad did, and then like basically let his dad die.
I mean, she is responsible for the flowers, I believe, but
yes,
he definitely let that happen.
He didn't try to stop it. He didn't take the flowers away. He's like, listen, I'm a father myself. I am trying to get this one job I've been studying my ass off for years. If anyone finds this out, you're just going to have to go. I'll make sure your reputation stays intact, but you got to go, sir. Right? I was like, damn.
Downright the switch too, downright scary, from how he goes just standing over him, watching him, to then bawling like as they carry him into the ambulance. Yes. Like, dude, okay, actor of the year. Like,
oh my God, that scared me. He's like, oh my God, my dad, somebody help him. He's having an asthma attack. In the back of his mind, he's like, let this motherfucker die in the hospital. It's like, Jesus.
Right? Wow.
But yes, the flowers were probably because of her, but the reason he died was because of his own son. And I thought that was like, that was crazy. That whole scene like tripped me. And I don't know if that's because of Dong-un either. Like, I guess because she manipulated her way into getting to know him. But I mean, it also shows like the son had some type of empathy for someone being a victim of bullying, especially finding out after his father, like, being there as a
he
child.
did it more for his own reasons, but
yeah.
Well, yes, that's true too. I don't know, because then, like, you know, when she was saying all that at the beginning, before the whole scene happened with all the flowers, when she was revealing it, and then like he was making a fuss, he only stopped his father because like the neighbors started coming out.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's wild. Again, that's when it just shows me like how reputation and social status in some circumstances are more important than like your own family. Wild. What else did I have? Oh yeah, and I also like, I think this is the episode, I like how like this gave me faith in the youth, because I think this is the same episode where Yesil basically puts Yojin in her place when she comes home from school, because you know how Yojin finds out that Dong-woo's like her homeroom teacher, and she's like, what is this girl going to do? She's worried about her hurting her daughter, which no matter how evil she is, I am glad that she actually seems to care about her child. She's not treating her child like her mother treated her. So she's breaking the cycle in that sense. But it tripped me up when she came home from school and she's like, oh, did your homeroom teacher do anything to you? Did she hit you? And her daughter looked at her like, why would she do that? That's so mean. I'm like, put your mother in place, girl. Put her in place. I have faith in the youth. She's like, that'd be so evil if someone did that. Bullying is wrong. I was like, tell your mother.
Yes.
Okay?
Because she still has no regrets.
No regrets, but still I have faith in the daughter. I was like, oh God, thank you. I have some type of faith in the youth. So I thought that was a great scene. And her daughter doesn't even know half the things, or like even 1% of the things her mother did. So, yeah. So on to episode 5. So this is the episode basically where we start seeing like, I guess I put like the growth between Hyunam and Dong-un, really for like Hyunam and how she sees Dong-un, even though she's like working for her. But I mean, I guess their relationship in a way kind of grows a little bit. But then, I also put like the nerve and power that Yojin has to act at the school that her daughter goes to see Dong-goo's resume. I'm like, you can just ask to see someone's resume to make sure they're qualified. Even though the way she got into the school, you know, wasn't the best. But I mean, she's not the only person that probably does that. I'm sure a lot of people get into the positions through like secrets, threats, family, you know, all that good stuff.
I think in her case it was justified because like that's what that whole bully group does to begin with. Like it's not the end of the world if she does it.
It's not. Oh yeah, and I wrote down a question. Kind of like a prediction for like part 2. I personally do not think this will happen. I just want to ask you guys, do you actually think Dong-un will hurt or put Yesil in any type of like harm's way or danger as part of her revenge? I don't think so.
I don't think she will.
I think she just is her goal is to make her mom feel like paranoid, like and torture her just that she's so close to her daughter, but I don't think she would ever hurt a child.
Like she'll probably make it seem as if the daughter is like threatened. Like for example, remember when she was like peeking through the window and she like had like the scissors, but she didn't. She might make it seem that way, but not actually hurt her. I don't think she would do that.
Just to play with her mind, like psychologically. I think so as well. So I would never be able to see that, her actually hurting her. But then also we find out that this is when Yojin hires a private investigator to get some information on Dong-un because she's like, something suspicious. She's here for a reason. And I need to find out before my past comes to light. This is also, I put a bulletin board where like K-dramas are deceiving because we talked about it earlier, but like the whole romance with Ju Yojong. and Dongun, and then like how he, I guess, been texting her for like years, would just randomly send texts, and then like finally she like replies back after a year. I think it was a while. And he got so excited that like she finally responded. I personally probably would have, honestly, as much as I like him, I might have blocked him.
At this point, what was Dongyun's relationship with the husband? Like, they were friends at this point, right? Or like go buddies?
Yeah, so they weren't friends. I don't even think he knew her name, but they would see each other at the Go house and play, and probably gamble a little bit, but not really gamble because gambling's illegal in Korea. But I know they played for like some money, but it technically wasn't gambling, apparently.
What are your predictions for him?
The husband?
Yeah.
I really don't know at this point. He's kind of a mystery to me. I don't know what his goals, motive is. I would like to find out what would happen when he finds out Yesil is not his daughter, which I think he already knows basically, but I don't know.
He knows the wife cheated based off of the cigarettes.
Yes, that was also crazy to me too, that he was able to piece that together off of the cigarette ban or
no,
brands.
but Dongun helped, like, edged him towards that.
She's very smart. It just amazes me how she was able to plan all of this.
She was motivated.
Me and Macy, yeah, she's very motivated. Me and Macy kind of talked about this. We were gone a little bit in the feast, but I asked the question, "Who do you think killed Myungo?" Because this is when the scene we find out. Where I think Dongun tells her a little bit about that one student that like we think was killed, but she tells him that was murdered, and all that. And so like once he finishes a task for her, she like gives him more information, and then he was about to book a flight to like leave and everything, and then we find out like at the episode like, oh, you know, someone killed him, or is he dead? Do you guys even think he's dead, or just badly beaten up?
I don't think he's dead.
Basically,
I don't think he's dead.
You don't think he's dead?
I don't think so.
Where do you think he is then?
I don't know. Because like his disappearance was a cause of question, but I don't know. I just don't think he's dead. Or who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know.
We see him badly hurt, but we don't actually know if he actually died or not. I don't know, because like I could be like, oh, I think he actually is dead, but he actually isn't. I just don't know.
But like in the foreshadowing scenes, it made it seem like someone attacked him though, like one of the friends.
Yeah,
he could just be like tied up somewhere. I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past her though to actually kill him.
Well, I guess we'll just see in part 2. But now Myungo is disappeared. So on to episode 6. I'm gonna start right away. I had a huge problem with that teacher at the elementary school with the awful bowl cut haircut.
I was just gonna ask you guys what you thought about him.
He freaks me out. I hope he never comes back. But like, just the fact that he was so hungo that Dongo slept with like the superintendent so she could start working there. But it was like how I complained in Yumi Cells. Why is it your business? Why are you so obsessed to find out why she's here and immediately label her as a hoe? Right.
And even if she had a relationship with somebody, doesn't mean she's going to sleep with your bowl cut looking butt.
Is that why he's so obsessed? Does he want her to sleep with him? I'm so confused. Like, sir, go somewhere and get a better haircut,
I think so. I think he thinks she's easy.
I think the main reason why he was concerned was because she did pop up randomly, and you only pop up randomly is if you like get like a favor or you threaten someone. I don't think he thought she was capable of threatening someone, so he just probably went the other route.
Yeah, until they had that little talk.
Oh,
I almost thought he was going to hit her too.
No, her comeback was really good. I was like, yes, girl.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, but what is with all these characters and they're just like all in your business? Like, come on. I'm also going to need him to get a better haircut.
Yeah. Something about his face, creepy. I don't know why, was just very, very, very punchable. Like every time he came on screen.
Very punchable. But yes.
Well, whoever that actor is played the character pretty well.
Very well. So then this is also when the friend group, in quotation marks, basically start realizing that like Myungo is like not responding to them. I know Sada texts him a few times and like she is basically going through withdrawals because she's texting him like she's out of ice and grass, which I'm sure are code names for drugs. I know grass is weed. I don't know what ice is.
I think it's cocaine.
Is it cocaine?
I think so. Or meth, maybe.
You can tell she's rich because I know their drug laws for weed is one thing. I don't know about every like cocaine.
Yeah, that's cocaine next level stuff.
That is a rich person's drug, so I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so I asked another question. If you guys were in Hyunam's position, which by the way, she's also very scary, especially in her spy tactics when you watch her like following them and stuff. She's very good.
I love her. I love her.
But I was just wondering, like, would you guys kind of be like her and start kind of blurring the lines between the relationship between her and Donghoon? Because you can start telling, like, she was kind of, I put blurring the lines, like, almost not really seeing this as, like, a partnership or, like, an employmentship, but, like, almost not a friendship, but because she's older than her. It was
definitely,
so,
like, a teamwork type thing.
Yeah, but almost kind of seeing her like as like a little either daughter or like younger sister type way. And then I also asked the question, do you guys just think Donghoon is just like scared of letting people in, or you think it's because she's setting boundaries because she's technically is working for her?
I think Donghoon is setting boundaries not because of like the work relationship, more so because of her experiences. That's what I think.
Of like trusting people?
But like touching people, texting people, just like opening up in general to them. But like you do see her like opening up little by little. So I guess we'll see more of that in part 2.
Right. I think it's a combination of both. You know, like she doesn't feel comfortable trusting people, but she also wants to keep a like work-based relationship because she doesn't want this person that she's trusted to come back and bite her in the butt later on. So, but I think it's a combination of both, just with like her being weird about certain things that she does and whatnot. Like it's just making her uncomfortable to be that close with somebody, but she also craves that probably motherly bond that she didn't get.
Yeah. Because that's why I was saying earlier how, God, what is his name? I forgot his name already. Scroll. How the dude is important, because I feel like she opens up to Yeojung a lot easier and earlier than she does with Hyunam. So that's why I didn't know if it's because like she's basically working for her, and like in Yeojung's sense, like until the end she hasn't really told him about like the revenge stuff yet. So, and I don't even know if like that relationship she is acting at first, but like he did get her to like smile for the first time in a long time, or maybe if ever, and like laugh at that one scene earlier, like at the park. So I do feel like that was real. I just didn't know why she didn't reciprocate those like same emotions and like openness to Hyunam, and if that's because she is working for her basically.
I think it could be that. I could think it could be like it's a different type of relationship. Like maybe she's more open to like a friend or a romantic relationship, where the relationship with her mother is more sensitive. So if she sees her as like a motherly figure, maybe it's harder to like accept that type of bond, and then the work aspect on top of it. So
I also think he's more random though. Like he has no connection to the bullies, to the story, to anything. Whereas she kind of does, because she does technically work for them. But I think
that's true.
So I think it's easier for her to trust him because he really has no connection whatsoever to them.
He's just genuinely interested in her.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, did she stop working for them at the house when she started working for Donghoon? I know that didn't really get like addressed. I'm assuming she just stopped working for them, right?
That's the vibe I got, but I don't think they directly addressed that.
I almost would think that she would stay working with them so she could hear like
to
inside
get more
the house.
information.
But she is traveling around though, like following Sada.
That would be a lot, I suppose.
My favorite scene is the bus scene where she's just like looking off of the reflection, and she like almost gets caught.
Yeah,
and then she turns around. She's like, I was like, that was quick. That was smart.
Yeah.
She's good at this. She really should be a spy after.
Or a private investigator. She'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she would kill that job. But yeah, so then we move on. Now I don't remember. No, I do remember. So after the whole scene I was talking about earlier with that one girl, that poor redhead who had to get the brunt of Jaejun being insecure about his color blindness. I think Donghoon basically hinted to Myung-oh that Yesul is Jaejun's daughter, because after that girl left, Myung-oh asks if Donghoon and Jaejun slept together, if he has a kid or something, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And then that made him think of like something else, because then we jump to the scene where Hae-jung, the flight attendant, is at his house, which I'm also curious, because when Donghoon stole her phone, I was like, so did they also sleep together in the past? Because she has a lot of pictures of him, and I kind of seems like it hinted like she had a crush on him also.
Wasn't she trying to get him though?
She was trying to bag him, like marry him and stuff, but like the pictures in her phone also made me hint that they were also sleeping together. I don't know if that was just me or not.
It could be possible because he was a player, so he may have been leading her on.
Might have been. That's what it seems like. Because she seems to know a lot more as well besides Yojin, and she seems to be scared of like Yojin finding something out between them. So I was just curious. I didn't know if that was just me or not.
I think he was leading her on, because then like after, because I think they had a confrontation too, if I'm not mistaken, and that's when she goes after the other dudes, like when she just becomes a serial dater. I think.
Yes.
I might have the timeline mixed up.
I probably have this whole time too. It's fine. Because he is asking about like Yesu all the time. And he's been doing that for a while. And then like she kind of makes like the jab. She's like, why are you asking about Yojin's daughter so much? And he even tells her, he's like straight up like, I think she might be mine. And she kind of laughs it off like, but I'm guessing everyone knew they were sleeping together even when she was engaged. That's why I'm like, this must have been a thing for a while. This is a crazy friend group, quotations.
Friends with benefits, more like it.
Yeah. And then also in this episode, this is really the first time we kind of see something trigger Donghoon, because we're so used to watching her throughout this whole series so far really be strong and like push to like revenge. But then like she gets triggered when she's getting her car checked after those guys like ran into her, those suspicious guys that I guess we'll see if they come back or not. And then she gets triggered by the sound of like meat cooking because the dealerships are frying pork in there. And that's probably why after that whole scene happened where she gets like triggered with her PTSD, that she actually confesses to Yojong about like her past and like her revenge plan and everything. So, and then that's when like, you know, she tells him that like she needs an executor, not a boyfriend right now. She has a plan. She has a motive. She's driven, and she will not let anything get in that way.
Yeah, romance. And also she's too far into her plan to like, you know, change her mind.
Exactly. This has been planned since high school. Nothing is going to get in the way of that. She will get her revenge. But then also, our three characters get mysterious packages. I'm sure they're all from Donghoon. So the husband gets a picture of him and Donghoon when they were at the convenience store, and she slipped Myung-go's like business card in there, which leads him to seek out where Myung-go is because he isn't responding, and that's when he starts actually interacting with Jae-jun more, and he starts putting together the pieces of like their friendship was more than a friendship, his and his wife, and like if they were sleeping together. What else happened? Oh, Jae-jun gets Yesul's toothbrush, which still I get surprised that they brush their teeth in public. But yes, and he ends up using that to do a paternity test to see if he's actually her father. And yes, he is. And that's why I question, because Hae-jung gets pictures from her phone, developed pictures of her and Jaejun, and it seemed like they're together and like at clubs and stuff. So that's why I question if they slept together or not. So that was just my only thing. But yeah, like I said, they start putting, especially the husband, start putting the pieces together. Jaejun finds out that, yes, that actually is my daughter. And he finds out because of a scene where he starts stalking the daughter, basically, which I don't know how y'all feel about that. But like, he calls out to her and he realizes she can't see the colors of the lights to tell when to cross the road. So that's why he's like, holy shit, that actually is my daughter. She developed my color blindness. So what do y'all think about that anyway? How he got so invested so quickly on the daughter, which at first he didn't seem like he cared at first.
Well, I don't think he cared because he didn't really know. Now he knows.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's possessiveness over the daughter so much, or if it's possessiveness over like the mom, because he seems to be quite obsessed with her. So like, if he can take the daughter away from her, I think it's more about taking the daughter away than like just wanting to be with her.
I mean, but it's wild. They had a chance to be together. I don't know. Maybe we'll do more of a backstory on that, on why they didn't actually get married. Because it's like, why didn't y'all just end up together? He's also rich, so it's not like Yeojin had any.
I feel like they addressed
worry
that.
About, like, finances. Did they? Did I miss it?
I think they had. Did they have a conversation when she became pregnant, or did she never tell him?
She never. Well, they never knew that was his daughter. They all just assumed it was from the husband.
I think when they spoke, she may have posed it as a hypothetical thing to him, and his response wasn't what she wanted, which is why she went through with the marriage. I think they had a conversation, though, about it.
Was it at the very beginning when they were sleeping together in the fitting room?
I don't remember, but I do remember them talking about it and her just like moving forward because I guess he didn't want to get like entangled or something like that.
I don't remember him ever actually saying why he didn't want to get married. That's what I said earlier about like how she's like
not necessarily married, but like just be together. I don't know.
Because remember I said earlier she's like she don't like to share. I don't know. Their whole relationship confuses me, and if I missed why they're not together, that's on me. But I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know why they didn't just end up getting together.
It's a great example of friends with benefits, really.
Yeah, but how long can you be friends with benefits until one of y'all start actually developing feelings?
That's a topic for another podcast.
People out there that could just keep, I know, I'm like, unless they could just keep doing it and just not ever develop feelings. I don't know. Humans are weird. Anyway, I don't have time to get into this. Also in episode 7 is when we start actually learning how Yeonjung has a dark past himself and something bad happened to him and his family. So this is when we learned that so his whole family are doctors. And his parents actually own the hospital that he either interned at or was working at. But basically, his mother gets a letter from someone from prison, and we later learned that that guy killed Yeojung's father when his father was treating him in the hospital, which is so fucked up. But I'm assuming he was already a criminal and maybe getting checked at the hospital, and then he killed him. But we see him going through flashbacks of killing the guy who killed his father the same way he killed his father. So that's why I was like, oh, son, especially there's certain times when he goes in the kitchen, he picks up the knife and he starts doing some, I don't know what to call it, practicing how to stab him.
Is quite extensive.
Yes. We see he has an extensive knife collection, and we also learned that's probably why too, because we see him throughout the first 6 episodes. He's going to therapy and we don't know why. And then there's one scene I know where he's in he's talking to his therapist, and he turns over and he the guy that killed his father is kind of there but all bloody. That's how he imagined stabbing him and stuff.
Do you think him having that backstory adds to the main story, or do you think his character would have been just fine if he was just the main lead's supporter?
I don't know if he would be as down for revenge if he didn't want his own revenge. You know what I mean? He's very willing to take revenge.
Be an executioner?
Yeah, he wants to take his own revenge. So I think he has a better understanding of where she's coming from with that, rather than a person who hasn't been scarred by somebody else.
Yeah, because I don't know if he'd be so willing to help her if he didn't have his own like dark
past
to
secrets.
himself. He might still be like sympathetic in a way, because that's what it seems like, but I don't know if he'd be willing to help her.
I agree, because
they just made him that in love with her, which I don't see really happening. But
no, I agree, because like even the way they have his character portrayed, he seems like a very logical person. So for him to have like that background, that connection to what she's trying to do would make more sense.
So, and then I'm surprised they did this so late in the episode, but this is the one where in our ramble episode, before I realized Macy didn't watch the show, that like really struck me. Surprisingly, out of all of them, like this whole thing is about like their laws when it comes to like basically child custody. So in the scene, when Jae-joon, finds out that that's his daughter, and like all of a sudden now he wants to like be in her life. I guess he has a friend who's a lawyer, and he asks him if there's any way he can be like in the child's life, like legally, because he is the biological father. So what his friend was basically telling him, that even though he is the biological father, that the law in Korea, when it comes to custody, because she was born in a family of a married couple, she is legally the married couples. And so Ha Do-young is legally her father no matter what, because they were married when she was born. And as long as he doesn't leave or divorces Park Yojin, Jae-joon doesn't have like any type of rights to claim Yesul at all in a legal way. And the only time he'd be able to do that is if like the father ends up like, getting arrested for something,
harming
like
the
some
child,
type of abuse.
essentially.
Yeah, like he finds out they're incapable of caring for the child, which they're both obsessed with that child, which I love. Any abuse, signs neglect. And like I said, if he divorces and leaves them, things like that. So I thought that was interesting.
So the conversation I was saying earlier, I think it was at this point that he went and spoke to her, where he tells her to like leave him or something. Yeah, this is what I was talking about.
Yes, because he shows up to the TV station and he's like, he basically is like, why don't we just get together? You should leave your husband. It'd be just us. And it's so weird how she's like, she loves her husband. And I was like, how do you love your husband when you've been lying to him your whole relationship? Like your husband does not know the real
of her husband.
I guess. But your husband don't seem to know you, and honestly, I don't think you really know your husband like that. So
she did say she liked him, so that's something.
Does she like him, or she like his money?
No, she said she liked him in the show, or liked the fact that he liked her for being pretty or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, looks aren't everything.
It all leads back to her.
It was a convoluted reason.
Yes, it still all leads back to her, but still. It's just crazy. Because even sometimes, like, throughout the show when they be talking, I was like, why are you guys together? I don't know.
Don't they kiss at the end of that conversation, though? Where he's like, come, like, just leave him or something.
Not that one, but there was a different part where, like, he confronts her when she shows up at his clothing store. And they kind of get violent with each other. And, like, he tells her, like, he knows that's his daughter. And he, like, starts choking her against the wall. And then they start making out. That was way before this, though. That's why I said they need to be together. Very toxic. Don't bring that little girl into this.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think he would be a good father.
I don't think so either.
Whether he has rights or not, I don't think he should have that kid.
Yeah, no.
I don't think he has, exactly. I don't think he has the moral capacity to be, who knows,
a caregiver.
Based off of what we've been seeing, he does not have it.
The husband should take his daughter and run. But I guess that wouldn't work, because if he leaves the wife, he doesn't have rights anymore.
So, fun fact, Macy, thank you for helping me segue. I took some notes about custody laws in Korea. So, what sucks is I actually couldn't find anything about this specific case, which I was really looking for, but I did find some things about like what happens if a couple's divorced there. So that's really what my notes are about. So of course, kind of like here, I guess they have their own separate court system for families, like the family court that will like make decisions and this type of things if the couple cannot come to their own agreement to where the courts don't have to get involved, basically. So when it comes to like, they broke it up into three things. They broke it up into child custody, child support, because I guess they also pay child support over there, and visitation rights. So with the child custody, the court decides which parent would get the child's custody, and it depends on the child's age, so the parent's financial state, etc. And then if the child is at a certain age, they'll take their opinion into consideration. So I guess if the child is over 13, the court will listen to that child's opinion about who they may want to stay with and have legal right over them and things of that nature. It seemed to me when I was doing my research, it's kind of like here in America where they'll try their best to give the mother like custody, but like the father has a more fighting chance, it seems like, in this. Because joint custody is actually very unusual over in Korea, so only one parent would legally get like sole custody. But if they find out like both parents are considered unfit, they try to give custody to someone else, like the grandparents or another family member. And if they can't find any other family members, they'll give, institute, orphanage. And then if there's multiple children, there's possibility to like give custody of each child to different people, which I thought was interesting. So they're not afraid to like break up the siblings if there's more than one child involved. When it comes to child support, the court decides how much the non-custodial parent should pay the custodial I'm saying that right, parent for the support. And it can different on for many reasons. If the parents were never married, but they like only dated or they just like had sex with each other, the custodial parent can file a suit for child support against the other. And then for visitation rights, the court decides the visitation right and methods, therefore, which can include like letters, emails, gifts, phone calls, besides physically seeing the child, which can be like only on weekends, once a month, twice a year, things like that. So yeah, kind of not that different from over here, but still.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's all I could find as far as... I really wanted more information about like what that lawyer said, but...
Do you think her custody is going to be a big theme in part 2?
I don't know. Because like in this situation, since he was saying the husband technically is legally her figure, if they do get a divorce, does that mean he doesn't have any rights like Macy was questioning? That's also me just not knowing that type, like for the law, like would he be able to take her? But they would have to prove the mother's unfit, but maybe they can depending on what Dong-eun's revenge is, like if she ends up getting her arrested or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think it...
Go ahead, Macy.
Go ahead. I think it kind of depends on the husband. Like, if he probably is aware of these laws. So it's like, is he going to stay with her because of the daughter? If he's just going to get out completely and, like, let her have her to, like, get out of the situation just to save himself. I don't know. I don't know what he'll do because I don't think she's going to let him go. Because it's going to ruin her fantasy life if her husband leaves her. So.
The husband doesn't know at this point, right?
I think at this point he knows because there is an
incident. Or he like has a
he has a suspicion because there's an incident I skipped over when he is taking Yesul at, I guess she plays soccer, and then like there's somewhere, I don't know if it's like at a trunk or something, he's like basically tying her shoes or something, and he says something about like the other team and like their socks, and she says something about one of the kids, because he says something about like, oh, the kids with pink socks were like probably cheating or something, and she talks about this one boy, but he's not wearing pink socks, he's wearing black socks, and that's what he kind of is like, what's happening? Because I don't know if he knows that Jae-joon has color blindness as well or not. But they obviously also know each other because his mother in an earlier scene, like at the very beginning, is going to the golf club that Jae-joon's like family owns. So they've interacted before in the past probably. And he knows that he is friends with Yojin, and they've been friends or known each other since high school. So I'm sure he could put pieces together. But I think he knows, one, his wife is hiding something, a disability about their child from them, and two, that might not be my kid because colorblind is hereditary.
Do you remember the scene where there was like a event at her school, like a Father's Day event type thing, and they both showed up? Did he say something then too?
I think he was suspicious about that, but then he just played it off like, "Oh, I'm here to see my high school friend." So
that's in the same episode. That's towards the end. Yes, when he shows up and he's basically taunting him, and he's basically trying to say like, "That's not your daughter. That's not your child." But yes, that's in the same episode that Jae-joon like miraculously shows up.
Yeah,
like, why are you here randomly?
He becomes truly suspicious then, like more so than any time else. But
he also discovers that his Go player is also his daughter's homeroom teacher.
Yes. And then he's like, oh, and they also know, she also knows my wife from high school days. So the pieces are coming together just as she planned.
He seems very analytical.
Yes. I'm sure he has to be like, because he's a CEO and not just a CEO of like a construction company. So that might also come into play. Because I like that ginormous like Go thing that they built at that one park. That was really cool. So... and that game that they play also seems very tactical. So
yeah.
But then we finish off in part 1 with the very last episode. I broke my promise, guys. This is a long episode.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I know. We're almost done. Just give me 5 more minutes and then we're done. But I also thought, what did you guys think of Hye-jong basically apologizing when she runs into Dong-un at, I don't know if they were at like a shaman place or Buddha place or one of those like religious places, but like when she confronts her, and then I put her at the weakest link because she cracked like Myungo, even though Myungo didn't really
apologizes.
Like apologize. She tries to, yeah. She like
she's not sincere.
That wasn't sincere though. Yeah.
No, it wasn't sincere.
She's
That's
trying
why
to save her skin.
Yes, she's trying not to be part of whatever Dong-un has planned for the punishment, and I think she even says that too. I just didn't know if you guys had any opinions on that or not, but I guess we all agree she was just like the weakest link. She was trying to not get any punishment.
Yeah, she is grasping on straws to get this like rich husband that she doesn't even really like, trying to impress her mother-in-law, and she doesn't want to like her mother-in-law
doesn't even like her either.
Yeah.
So when she talks to Dong-un, how does she know her? I don't know. And she walks away. She's like, why couldn't my son be marrying you? I got this bride instead. I thought that part was funny.
I love how Dong-un like just conveniently knows like extensions of these people's like associates.
Yeah.
Just enough to scare them.
Right?
And then I even put like towards the end, honestly, out of all of them, besides Yojin, who she's getting her revenge on, I think she's scared of Jae-joon the most, just because their interaction at the end when she meets up with him at the school. And then she kept it really cool and even gave her like the picture that Hye-sol drew because of her color blindness. It's just like blue. But then like, you know, she ends up going into like the bathroom and throwing up. I'm like, is she more scared of him than like she is of the actual girl she's getting revenge on? He seemed to have done something to her, which they might bring up in like part 2.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously there was a scene they showed like in the rain where he was like sexually harassing her, like making her stand in the rain so she can see her boobs and stuff. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think on some level she would be more afraid of him physically just because he's bigger and stronger than her. And she probably also, like we said earlier, he's the quiet one. So she probably knows just how deranged he can be.
Right.
Which would be scary, you know, but she hasn't had a ton of interaction with like the main bully girl. Like she, in the classroom, they had a conversation, and then at the like award, she gets some kind of award. She has a conversation with all of them, but maybe like being alone with him, like outside behind a building, was more scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it also seems like too, he knows something's happening, and maybe she can also convince him to be on her side. It seems like that's another reason she'll use the kid as leverage, which I don't know if I trust. Like we discussed earlier, trust him with her. I really do not want him anywhere near this child.
Yeah.
Personally. But then, of course, like we said earlier, how Hye-jung was like fake apologizing so like she wouldn't get any part of the revenge. That's how she convinced her to start doing stuff. So like she basically confessed to the husband of like how his wife was and like a bully and everything. So I mean, she tells him snippets of how she was in high school and how she started bullying Dong-un. Hye-jung basically confesses all of that and is like, you know, the sweet housewife act. It's all an act. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of drops it a little bit too when I think they can like have another confrontation in his office at the home where she's like, don't worry about it. You don't need to be, you know, digging up my past and all that, which I thought was interesting. Like I said, this kind of shows how their marriage really is. Well, yeah, basically just to wrap it all up, Yojin discovers that like Dong-un's apartment is right across from their house. They meet up at the house, and then I don't remember who. Is it the guy? Is it Yo-jung who goes to the hospital? Yeah, where the one girl where their like was murdered. Because no one has claimed her body yet, because I don't know, something about they can't reach the family, but he opens it up where the body's supposed to be, and there's no body. So is the girl actually dead? That's another big question out of all this revenge. Where is Zoe? Is she actually dead? Is her body moved? Is she alive this whole time? What's going on there? So that's another big mystery for part 2. What do you guys think? You think she's actually dead?
I mean, I think she's dead because, I mean, do we see her fall off the roof? I mean, they kind of imply it, but I don't think that it would have been such a big deal with like her family and stuff, like grieving, and why would she, I don't know.
But they never showed like a funeral or anything for her, and like they said, they can't reach the family, and then the whole thing is empty, so there's no actual body in the hospital.
I don't know. That's very odd that it's not there. Like, where the heck is it? But I don't know.
I think she is dead in that case because it has been a long time. Or maybe she could have faked. I don't know. She could have faked it too.
Yeah, she could have faked her death just to get away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But if she also, I mean, they were still high schoolers. She could have transferred.
That's true.
And probably been okay. It's not like they're going to track her down to her new school.
I mean, they're psychotic enough to do that.
I suppose,
I was gonna
but
say.
It seems like they just moved on to other people when those ones disappeared because Donu just dropped out and they didn't look for her.
That's true.
Yeah, they started picking on someone else.
So I don't know if they're going to go out of their way to like find somebody who transferred. I don't know if she would have had reason to fake her own death.
But this is different though because she pushed her off a building. So if she had died, she would also be a murderer too.
Right, yeah.
So this is a little bit different in that case.
There was a line that she said, the main bully, like, I did make a mistake in bullying you. I should have just killed you. So I thought she was implying that she killed the other one.
Yeah.
You know?
She did say that when she confronted her at her daughter's classroom. Doesn't seem like murder is not an option for her.
I think she's dead. I think there's something weird going on with the body, but I think she's dead.
But I wouldn't be surprised though if there was some like plot twist where she's not dead.
Mm-hmm. I would believe the lackey is probably more alive than the girl who died like years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because where the heck has she been for all these years? Too?
Mm-hmm. Plotting her own revenge.
Maybe she got a new identity, a new face.
Mm-hmm. And maybe she was just injured and she didn't actually die. But
yeah. It would be so interesting, actually, if like she does end up coming back and they join forces.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really interesting.
Or how do we know she didn't find her earlier on and they've been joining forces this whole time?
Yeah. We'll see. That would be interesting.
We will see. Yeah. So that's the end for me, guys. I'm sorry this was so damn long.
Wait, did you get to the part where like she just ends up in the apartment?
Oh, I thought I kind of implied that, but yes, Jin basically finds out she's living across from her. She goes into the apartment. She sees all the pictures that Dong-un has, and then she turns around because the door's opening, and she thought Dong-un was going to be there, but no, it's her husband.
Dun dun dun.
What a cliffhanger.
I'm just interested in what that conversation is going to be like. Is the husband going to turn on her? Is the husband going to be on his wife's side? Like, I'm mostly just worried about the little girl.
Do you think it'll pick up right from that scene?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I hope it does.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That scares me so much that she was able to get in her apartment, though. Like,
Yeah.
security do better. Don't just let a random rando into somebody's apartment. Obviously, the husband gave him the keys and told him where to go because she just spoke with him.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's always like, how does she get in? Because I didn't think they had keys.
I don't know.
She got a locksmith, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they had passcodes over in Korea for their doors.
I think
don't
hers was
they have
lock and key.
keys. Was
Yeah,
her lock
older
and key?
buildings might not have it. Yeah, they
Yeah, I
might
think it was
not
lock and
have
key.
that.
That's true. That's true. For some reason, I guess I thought a majority of them were, but that would
I
make
think
sense.
the majority of them are, but older buildings maybe not.
And I'm sure that building was probably there a lot longer than their brand new home. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really don't know what the husband's going to do. Like, I think he's going to be strategic because this is his
Mhm.
life as well, and he is about image as well. But
Yeah.
he seems to be approaching this, like, I think I said this earlier, like, he listened to Don's side first,
Yeah.
and then he went. Like, and he said that. He's like, I want to hear your side first. So he's not 100% on his wife's side either. But
Do you
whether
think
he's
he has an
willing to-
attraction to Dong-un?
oh, for sure.
I think so too.
I thought
and
so
I
too.
think you can kind of tell at the Go house.
Mhm.
Mhm. At least in the beginning, he may have gotten freaked out by her like knowing everything about him, but but he was definitely attracted to her. Just he was staring at her and like,
I
it's
feel
this
like-
beautiful woman who's good at Go. Like,
Yeah. No, I feel like though if he ends up figuring out the whole truth about his wife, he might just end up leaving her and go for Dong-un, or try to.
I don't know if he would go for her necessarily, but I think he would. I think he would leave his wife.
I think he would attempt it.
I think he still needs that image of like a well-educated, wealthy woman to like be his sidekick. So
Yeah.
whether he pursues her romantically or not, I don't think he would like marry her or anything. I don't know.
Or they could just be go buddies
I mean,
forever.
could you imagine the social status of him leaving her for his daughter's homeroom teacher?
Yeah, that would
That's
be
true.
I
That's
don't
a
think he
whole
would
thing.
put
We
himself in that position.
teacher, right? We thought that one creepy teacher was nosy enough. If that happened, dear Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think he got kind of like, if he was going to leave his wife, I think he would want to leave the whole situation entirely, and just being with her would be too much connected to his wife, and that would be too much of a scandal. So I think despite his attraction that he obviously has, I don't think he would risk that.
I do think though he would still be a supporter
Of her revenge.
of just her in general.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, I
even
guess
if he
we'll
doesn't
see.
pursue her or anything.
Because we'll see how much he needs to protect his own skin too, like his
Yeah.
situation and whatnot. If she's gonna like ruin his life that he's built just because he's associated, I don't know what her plan with him is either. Like if she really wants to affect him, or if she was just messing with him to get to her,
And she, like I said earlier, she wanted to be an architect. Maybe when all this is over,
Yeah,
he can offer her a job.
give her a job.
Yeah.
We'll see. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
because there wouldn't be a
hoping-
point for her to be the homeroom teacher anymore.
I'm hoping that he's going to be a good character and be on her side, but
Yeah.
I also know that he has a lot to lose when it comes to this whole situation. So what will he choose?
To do. Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm mostly worried about the daughter, though. What's going to happen to her?
Where
Yeah,
does
of
she
course.
fall into all this?
I really don't want her to go to Jaejun.
Mm-hmm. I think at the end of this, they're all either going to end up dead or in jail. So she'll have to go to her relatives or something.
Yeah.
And hopefully not Yeojun's mother.
Do you think he may have had a connection to them in high school, but they may have just not realized it, the husband?
I thought they were like met in college, right?
They met in college. It said
They met in college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know how K-dramas like have that thing, like, oh, they had like one happen chance interaction.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
But yeah, I don't want the daughter to end up with Jaejun. And I also don't want her to end up with Yeojun's mother. I didn't even get into that about their relationship.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which is not good. So can you only imagine? Because I know she was saying stuff about her as a baby as well, and like how to take care of her. And that's why I was like, no matter how evil she is, I could appreciate the way she's trying to raise her daughter to be a better than her. So there's some type of goodness in there. Not a lot, but just a little. So, and I don't know where this leads everyone else either, as far as the whole group. I mean, they're not the main targets, but still, it'd be interesting to see where they go. I don't know if like Sarah will ever get arrested from like being a drug addict, basically. I'm sure the other girl would somehow get off scot-free, if anything. I know she quit being a flight attendant because she's engaged to that one guy. So who's also friends with Yeojun's husband. I don't know if they work together or not, but they're in the same circle. So yeah, it's just more questions for part 2. It's just questions for part 2. But yeah, I guess those are our predictions. Was there any other predictions we had? Maybe do we think Ju, Yeojung, and Donghoon are gonna end up getting together? Do we think she's gonna actually kill that one lady's husband?
Do you think Donghoon will end up raising the kid?
That would be a twist.
That would be a twist.
Yeah.
I don't know how she would get her when she probably has extended family, but
yeah,
unless she somehow forces her to like make her godmother or something like that.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would happen.
Yeah,
how that would happen either. But yeah, I'm excited for part 2, and I'm sure we will do a review, and hopefully it will not be as long, guys. I can't believe this is so long. I tried.
Well, we did a lot of background.
Had a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we did.
So
I was trying something different, but
so with the second one, we can just like jump right in because like background has already been set.
We know all the characters unless there's new ones introduced and stuff.
Exactly. So we'll just see, and look out for our review of part 2. Do we want to rate part 1 before part 2 in case part 2 disappoints us, which I'm hoping it doesn't?
Let's do it.
Okay, what's y'all rating?
I would rate this like a 9.5 out of 10.
I would give it the same rating.
Yeah, honestly, 9.5, because I think there's, at some points, it's a little difficult to follow what's happening. But other than that, it's so, like, it got me. Like I said, I watched the whole thing in, like, a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a sucker for a good, like, underdog revenge story kind of redemption. So.
Yeah. And, like, with that, I was telling you guys earlier, like, I didn't realize the past, like I didn't know what time frame we were in at the like first 3 episodes until we actually got to her being the homeroom teacher, so that confused me a little bit. But other than that,
I do want to say though, like the main lead's acting was very, very good compared to her previous dramas, which is funny because a lot of people have said the same thing. She was like in one of the interviews, what have I been doing this whole time then?
She needs to play more like serious,
I think this
psychological characters.
This was such a great contrast to what she's normally used to playing. So it's nice to see her like do like unconventional roles for her. But yeah.
Again, I'm not familiar with her work, so I can't put my 2 cents in. But yeah. So that's been us, guys. And look out for part 2, because I know we will be. Now, someone please do the closing, because my throat hurts from talking. Anybody? Any volunteers?
Macy!
Oh, great. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks so much for listening to this episode of I Was Thinking. If you can follow us on all social media platforms. We have a Twitter and Instagram, and I know Simone has been recently making TikToks. So go follow us on there. Oh, you see
that? Damn, I forgot you followed me on that. Yes, yeah. I started making TikToks personally, and I try to post as much as I can.
Yes.
So,
But other than that, if you have any questions or comments, or you want to give us any suggestions, we have an email, iwasthinkingpod@gmail.com, that you can reach out to us with. Please rate us on any systems that you are listening to, and we'll see you next time.
thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.